game, immediately the ghoulish haunts of a quiet October arrive, and it's not the Halloween we love to remember. Every other sport is underway, and you're already missing America's pastime, missing it like an old friends. The holidays arrive, you're on the nice list, but you would do anything for the sight of coal. Finally, the calendar changes, and you sense images of his great whiteness. But for 8 cold weeks, it isn't the whiteness you were hoping for. It's just too close to lose hope now. So you pack a few things, you find a flight, and one destination just over 2 hours away is in your sights. You're back. Finally, you can embrace the moment that has eluded you for 6 cold months. You can catch up with a few old friends, and the sounds of spring are popping all around. Baseball is officially here. Welcome back, everyone. Your hand out there if you think 155 days seemed like a lifetime since the last Phillies baseball game. For Ryan Howard, it certainly did. Ryan Sandberg the same. Even Mike Schmidt missed baseball during the offseason. It's great to see Charlie Manuel, Aaron Rowan keeping a watchful eye over Chase Utley. That was earlier today. The ankle seems to be healing, and we're ready for baseball. The 69th installment of Phillies baseball down here in Clearwater, Florida. It begins today with the New York Yankees. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, and look who we found north of the border. We got him out of the snow. Matt Stairs is back with us, and we begin with probably one of the biggest storylines, Matt, in the Phillies camp this year. Ryan Howard. That's all you have to say, Ryan Howard.
Well, the big thing with Ryan Howard, he starts the 2015 healthy. That was a big question. The last 3 years, he started the season off with a bad Achilles, tough knee, whatever. The number that impressed me last year was 153 games he played last year. A lot of strikeouts, 190, led the league. But with Ryan Howard healthy, his legs are good. Now he can get back to the point where he can use his lower half, drive the ball. Instead of getting out of that bad habit of swinging with his upper body or just hands, now he can rely on his lower half, wait a little longer, and drive the ball like the old Ryan Howard.
Well, it is huge to see Ryan Howard out there and trimmed down, looking tight, and hopefully looking for a big 2015. All right. He's part of the big news on the field. We got some news in the booth. Ben Davis is joining us this year. He will be part of the Phillies broadcast team for the entire season. Yes, he's a local guy. Malvern Prep is proud. Look at the skills behind the plate. Was he a catch and throw guy? Was he an offensive guy? Well, we're going to show you all sorts of highlights, but it's nice to see Ben in the booth. I have to say, looking exactly the same as when you look there in a Padres uniform.
Well, I tell you, they got all my career highlights on one film right there. That was outstanding to see.
Well, it's great to have you up in the booth. I know you're looking forward to getting a chance to call the games for the team you grew up watching.
Absolutely. This is really a dream come true for me. Work with a great crew with you and Matt and Mike Schmidt. This is just, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I get to talk to the folks out there about the team I grew up watching and a game that I absolutely love.
All right, we got to do something about the hair, though. There's too much hair on Ben Davis. All right, so Ryan Sandberg, in his second full year as the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, we asked him about his expectations and what he's looking for going into the season.
Make sure that the players know what my priorities are as far as not only spring training but team concept and really the approach that we have to have with our players to win baseball games. Letting them know specifically what type of a team that I think that we're going to have, and we're going to have to do a lot of things right. We have to do a lot of little things right to win baseball games.
Well, the Phillies hope they'll win more baseball games than a year ago, which was the same number from 2 seasons ago. It begins today with Jerome Williams on the mound for the Phils, and he'll be opposed by a guy the Yankees probably look to be a bullpen piece, and that is Adam Warren. Yeah, the hot dogs are pretty sweet down here in Clearwater, but more than anything else, you get to wear sunglasses. Soak it in, folks. Lineups and first pitch when we return. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Citizens Bank. Introducing One Deposit Checking. Keeping things simple is helping you bank better. by Toyota. Toyota's One for Everyone sales event is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. By Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. And by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at IBX.com.
Hazelnut, light on the acidity.
Not Jerome Williams is taken down low, so we're underway. Everybody, welcome to 2015 baseball from Bright House Field. Jacoby Ellsbury is the first hitter, and he chops the first pitch towards second, and an easy play for Hernandez. 2 pitches, 1 away. Rest of the Yankee lineup brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Brett Gardner's walking to the plate right now. Then Chris Young and Garrett Jones. Jose Perella is the second baseman today. Austin Romine is the catcher. Kyle Roller is the DH. Jonathan Galvez is over at third. And Nick Noonan is the shortstop today, batting ninth for the Yankees. David Buchanan was not scheduled to start today. It was supposed to be Jerome Williams. Now Jerome is out in the bullpen stretching his legs, so maybe they flip-flopped. We don't know. But we're assuming that Buchanan will throw the same amount of pitches we were told Williams was scheduled to throw, and that's between 30 and 35.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's some type of illness. He's out there with a hooded sweatshirt on.
It's 84 degrees or whatever.
That's why I think he's got the bug.
So slow chopper towards seconds. And Hernandez takes care of Gardner. Actually, the board's saying the game time temperature is 93 degrees, so I'm a little off with my meteorology. All right, let's take a look at David Buchanan's scouting report for today.
Well, it's 90-92 mile an hour sinking fastball. Cutter. Changeup is probably his best pitch. Definitely his out pitch. A curveball, I think, that really developed towards the latter part of last season. And 3 runs or less in his final 16 starts. He will get you deep into the game and give the team a chance to win.
I think that's one of the things when we talked to Ryan Sandberg and Bob McClure the other day. They talked about the 6 innings or more and how impressed they were with David Buchanan doing that.
Yeah, and you look at him, it's not overpowering stuff, but he goes out and he competes and he throws strikes.
Well, Chris Young gets the first hit of the spring, an opposite field single.
Well, I think what really impresses you is that he gets you to the 6th inning, and it's very quick because he has a great tempo on the mound, which catchers love, which defense behind him loves to play behind. He gets it and he throws, that's for sure.
Well, I was thinking the first 2 outs were recorded on 5 pitches, that if he was going to go on that pace, he'd be out in the bullpen for the 3rd and 4th inning today. Here's Garrett Jones over from the Miami Marlins, and he takes a strike. It's 0-1. Garrett Jones last year, 15 home runs, 53 runs batted in. He and Nate Eovaldi were acquired from the Marlins. Martin Prado went down to South Florida. Ball's ripped foul, and it's no balls and 2 strikes.
I think it's a good signing by the Yankees, and the fact that they do have that short right field porch, and we know how the ball flies up there in New York. So I think he could put up some decent numbers up there.
Well, Joe Girardi talked about that during the offseason, that they were trying to add another left-handed bat or 2. There's the 0-2 pitch coming to Garrett Jones. Off the hands, that'll be out of play. Cameron Rupp gives it a peek. We'll get a chance to talk at length about the Phil starting staff. David Buchanan is certainly battling for one of the spots in that staff. You know that Cole Hamels and Cliff Lee, knock on wood, are healthy. They'll be 1 and 2, depending on who you want to put 1 and who you want to put 2. Aaron Harang most likely will be in the mix as the 3. That one's pulled off the glove of Ryan Howard down the right field line. I don't think a fan got a hold of it. Dominic Brown will get it in quickly, and the Yankees have 1st and 3rd with 2 men down.
Number 63, Jose
Ryan Howard and Darren Ruff were each working on their defense earlier today at first base. Now this is on the big field, but prior to this, Ryan Howard was on the half field adjacent to Bright House Field with Larry Boa and Dave Hollins working on ground balls.
Those half fields come in handy. Oh. And you see these guys out here every morning before the stretch. They get out there and they get a lot of work in.
Here's Jose Perella, and he takes a fastball for a strike. It's 0-1.
The half field was actually my favorite field to go to for batting practice. a lot of home runs hit on the half field.
You could probably hit some home runs right-handed on that half field. Perella last year in AAA hit .305 with 10 home runs and 60 runs batted in. He's playing second base today. Most likely the Yankees starting second baseman will be Stephen Drew. Chopper over the head of Ryan Howard down the right field line. Chris Young will score. Garrett Jones lumbers to third. And the Yankees take a 1-0 lead here in the top of the first. Well, not a whole lot anyone could do with that.
You got the two quick ground balls by Ellsbury and Gardner, and that one wasn't hit much slower than the two outs he recorded. I just bounced right over the big piece's head.
Ball seemed to come right back toward the middle of the plate. A little late on it.
Yeah, and that's one thing with Dave when he gets in trouble is that his changeup or his fastball stays up in the zone and he doesn't have that late movement. And that, like you said, Tom, that ball came back towards the middle of the plate, and that's a spring training knock right there. Swing late, go to right.
Oh, with runners on first and third, 1 run in. Austin Romine will be the batter for the Yankees. Got to keep an eye on Perella over at first. He did have 15 steals last year.
It's definitely a good opportunity to run right there. Get another runner in scoring position. You got 2 outs. If you do get thrown out, it's no big deal. You're going to err on the side of aggression.
Cameron Rupp gets the start behind the plate today. He's going to battle for the backup job behind Carlos Ruiz. That one's pulled foul on the third base line. So 1 ball and 1 strike. It's the right of spring, the Hooters ball girls down the left and right field line. There's Cam, who last year got a chance to be in the big leagues for a good portion of the season. Phillies have a number of veterans who are in the camp who will also battle for the backup job to Carlos Ruiz. And we were told the other day by Ryan Sandberg that Carlos probably won't start catching in games until maybe the back end of the second week of spring training.
I had a good talk with Carlos today prior to batting practice, and he said he was excited about it. He could really sit there and think about hitting, not worry about catching a lot of games in spring training. He says maybe towards the end of the spring training I'll start going back there and doing some more catching.
And he's fully healthy, Matt. I know you were talking to him about that today, but his left shoulder, which he had scoped in the offseason, he's fully healthy now.
He's fully healthy. He says he can take a swing without bothering him. And I know we knew last year they had some problems with the left arm and left shoulder, but he's 100% healthy now.
1-2 pitch is fouled away, and it remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. By the way, rest easy, everyone. Jerome Williams will pitch second today. Not sure of the switch or why it was switched, but David Buchanan will go 1 or 2 depending on pitch count, and his pitch count is elevated now here in the first. And then Jerome will rip that sweatshirt off and pitch second today for the Phils. This will be the 18th pitch of the inning for Buchanan, and he gets him to chop it right back to the mound. So a run does score, 3 base hits for the Yanks. They leave a couple, bottom of the first. Phillies offense gets their first swings when we return.
When you set out to find new
Well, back here at Bright House Field, Bob McClure chatting with David Buchanan. The inning started off strong, but he did allow a run on 3 base hits. Let's take a look at the Phillies starting lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Revere, Galvis, and Sizemore, followed by Ryan Howard, Carlos Ruiz as the DH, and Dominic Brown. And the bottom third of Cody Ashe, Cesar Hernandez, and Cameron Rupp. Phillies will use the DH against every team for a good part of spring training. And they'll face right-hander Adam Warren. Matt, kind of an oddity. Warren is going to be used as a starter to begin spring training because they're not sure about depth in the Yankee starting rotation. But there are a lot of folks that think he could wind up being the closer at some point this year.
Well, he could, and that's a nice problem to have. He can start, he could be a mid-relief, he could close. You know, as you can see the scouting report, very good fastball, 90 to 96 mile an hour fastball, circle change, curve slider. Oh, and by the way, 32-4 record at University of North Carolina.
Yeah, pretty dominant college pitcher as Ben Revere takes low. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Revere healthy. His foot is no longer causing him to limp. Coming off a year in which he hit .306, had 184 hits, which was tops in the National League. And despite the sore foot, the screw that was in his foot, he still played 151 games. By chopper to third. And there's one away. That'll bring Freddie Galvis to the plate. Now, Murph, Galvis is a storyline this year. His offense is a storyline, but the offense overall for the Phillies is a big storyline this season.
No doubt about it, Tom. How is this team going to score runs? That is really the big question, and there's a different approach to spring training and the offense this year, and it stems from an idea that Ryan Sandberg had at the end of last season. Take a look at this. They have taken the 30 position players and then split them up among 6 different pods. Hitting pods is what they're calling them. You see that Mike Schmidt is one of the hitting instructors. Charlie Manuel and some of the other guys as well. They are working with those players individually. And the most important thing, guys, is that the same message from every coach is being delivered. And that is that we've got to take every at-bat the right way, take every approach, hit the ball on the ground, move runners up, be aggressive, and do what you need to do to score runs. Because it's not about the long ball with this team. They're going to have to do it the right way, guys.
And you guys obviously played the game for a long time. This whole concept of pod coaching, what are your thoughts about it?
Just as long as everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
They have to continue to stress the same hitting techniques and what they're trying to accomplish when they go up and take their at-bats.
Well, there are certain things that they're using from an information standpoint. They want to be better with runners at third and 2 outs, or less than 2 outs, getting that runner home. They want to be able to swing through the ball, Matt. What is that thought? What does swinging through the ball mean?
Well, the biggest thing is try to keep the barrel through the zone as long as possible. A lot of times with the guys in scoring position, their barrel goes through the zone, and all of a sudden they'll come out of the zone too quick, which means you're cutting your swing off. And that's why you hit a lot of weak fly balls in the opposite field. If you think about driving the ball left center, right center, keep that barrel through the zone as long as possible. That's where you get the backspin. And not necessarily you're swinging down the ball. You're just keeping your hands inside the ball.
Slow roller toward the middle, and Grady Sizemore is retired. Well, that was a very quick bottom of the first. We played one, on to the second here in Clearwater. It's 1-0 Yankees. Back at the top of the second inning here in Clearwater, 1-0 Yankees on top. David Buchanan gets set to begin his second inning of work. According to the clock out in center field, he still has 17 seconds to deliver the first pitch. He doesn't have to wait until 0. He can. This is all part of the new speed up rules in Major League Baseball. Ben, did you ever play a tournament down in Bridgeton, New Jersey, where they had the clock out in center field all the time, and you have a certain amount of time in between pitches to throw the ball to the plate?
I have not.
Not the same concept, but we do have a clock in baseball. No longer can you say, hey, there's no clock in baseball.
A little bit more riding on these games, I think.
Yeah. Ground ball toward the middle. Freddie Galvis gobbles it up. And there's one away as Kyle Roller is retired. So the clock is something that we saw the first day we arrived here at Bright House Field. And all around baseball, there will be a clock. Maybe it doesn't look like that, but it will run down the time in between innings. So the pitcher and the hitter both have 2 minutes and 25 seconds to deliver the first pitch after an inning concludes. So basically there's 2 minutes and 5 seconds of breaks for television and for radio, for commercials. And they have 2:25 to deliver that first pitch. Now they don't have to wait until it hits 0, but they have to wait until it gets past 2 minutes and 5 seconds, then they can deliver the first pitch. Pitch is outside to Jonathan Galvez, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike to him.
I just find it interesting how they break it down. 40 seconds left. That's when they started playing the walk-up music. 30 seconds left. That's when the walk-off music turned off. You know, then you get your toe in there and you get ready to go, and it's like, here we go. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, the batter does have to keep 1 foot in the batter's box. That was a rule anyway, but they're going to try to enforce that. Toward the hole under the glove of Cody Ashe, and into left field, a base hit. Their 4th hit of the ball game for the Yankees. All right, so here are the points of emphasis for pace of game. Batters will be encouraged to get in the batter's box with 20 seconds on the timer. And fines will be donated to the MLB Players Trust Charitable Foundation. The fines will be about $500 for each infraction, and the umpires will decide if anybody has violated the new rules.
You said there will be some levity in spring training and in April to start the season.
Here's Nick Noonan.
I know sponsors and commercials are a big part of baseball, but I think this is outstanding because the game does need to be sped up a little. It definitely needs to be. The games are too long. Guys just take too long.
Pitch is grounded through the hole on the right side. Yankees are doing a lot of first to third in these first couple of innings. As they pick up another base hit, it puts runners on first and third with 1 man down. And back to the top of the order for Jacoby Ellsbury. Now we're going to talk a lot about speeding up the game because you see Jerome Williams starting to throw in the pen. But do you guys think the game is slower from when you first stepped onto the field as a professional player?
I think so. I think when I started playing a few years ago, there was
a few.
Yeah, there was just starting to bring in the walk-up music and guys taking their time to get in the batter's box, and yeah, I think the game has got a lot longer. You know, you think National League games are long? You should play there and watch the Oakland A's play against the Seattle Mariners or somebody, or the Anaheim Angels. They're long games.
There's a spinner out toward third. Ashe comes to the plate, and they're able to get Galvez. 5-2 on the putout. So 2 men down, runners on first and second here in the top of the second inning.
Great play by Ashe there. He knows he cannot double up Ellsbury with his speed. So he might as well eliminate that run at home plate. It's a great play. More importantly, David Buchanan has jammed Ellsbury his first 2 times up, and we like to see that with that late breaking cutter.
Gave himself a good angle to make that throw to Cameron Rupp, who cannot block the plate, so he was off the path of the plate.
One thing you'll hear me talk a lot about is thinking ahead. So Cody Ashe, can I double up Ellsbury? I know he's fast. What's the surest way to get an out or prevent that run from scoring?
Well, that'll bring Brett Gardner to the plate with runners on first and second and 2 men down. Gardner last time grounded softly to second, so he's 0 for 1. 17 home runs last year, which was a career high, but a lot of his other numbers were down from previous seasons. A little high. 2 balls and no strikes. That one's back in front of us. And it's 2-1. Ben, how do you feel about foul balls into the press box? You going to make an attempt to catch any of them?
Well, after seeing what you did last year, I'm going to leave that up to you.
Well, there was a little more depth where we were in center field. They come up pretty fast in these spring training press box.
That they do. But you put on a show last year, so it's all you.
But the thing is, Ben, I got to believe that you still carry a catcher's mitt in your bag.
I do. It is about 5 feet behind us.
Does that go everywhere you go?
It goes a lot of places. I do. And I always keep that softball in there to keep the pocket open.
I was going to say, let's root through Ben's bag on live television. Let's see what else we have.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
There you see my net right here.
All right, so that's the that's actually a small glove.
It is. It's actually playing the Yankees is the Pro JP 2002 Jorge Posada model.
Okay.
And my dad couldn't stand it because I always use a small glove. He goes, use a bigger glove, would you? But I always enjoyed it. I felt like it would enable me to get the ball out quicker.
Here's Ben Revere, makes the grab. So Buchanan works around a couple of base runners here in the second. We go to the bottom of the second. Yankees up 1-0. And it didn't have numbers counting down. So here we go. 40. Now we'll hear the announcement of the batter. Or we should hear the announcement of the batter.
Batting fourth for the Phillies, number 6, Ryan Howard.
All right, we're going to have to talk to Chris Wheeler about being a little tardy because he started the announcement at 40. So the pitcher's last pitch is supposed to be at 30. And now as we reach 20 seconds, he can throw a pitch if the batter's ready. So Ryan Howard's not ready yet. He's not in the box. Now he's in the box at this point. You see 10 seconds, 9. So he can throw a pitch at any point, but it has to be before the clock hits 0. And Ryan Howard loops one into left field. A base hit to start the spring. So the first hit for the Phillies comes off the bat of Ryan Howard. Matt, I know people will ask about going the opposite way with Howard with the infield stretched around, but can we see more of that, you think?
Well, I believe so, and I believe for spring training he should concentrate on working towards the left center gap. Now, I'm not a believer of trying to hit the ball to left field. I think you get in bad habits, but I think with Ryan, where his hands are now, his lower half, it just gives him a chance to let the ball get deeper and drive the ball to left field. I didn't even get a chance to explain about his hands. You know, we've always seen Ryan hands up high. Then last year, Marlon Byrd, they worked with hands down low. He kind of keeps them just a little bit below his shoulder. And so just kind of relaxes his shoulder. Feels like he has a freer swing.
Carlos Ruiz takes a strike. It's 1 ball and 1 strikes to Carlos, who last year had 252 with 6 homers and 31 runs batted in. Charlie Manuel has been the leader of Ryan Howard's pod. And he has talked often with him, with Jeff Francoeur, who's one of the newer Phillies in camp, about some of the things they would like to see Ryan do a little differently this year.
He's definitely a good man to listen to. Chuck knows his hitting. And he loves talking about it, too.
Oh, he does. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Ruiz. Fouled away. Well, I think there's been a lot of conversation about Ryan Howard's knee and Achilles. And, Matt, as you said in the open, just talking with Ryan over the last week or so, he feels like this offseason was the first one in, would you say, 2 years or 3 years, where he's able to do everything he needs to do to have everything strong.
Well, and it's so important. I mean, the Achilles, is that going to be 100% healthy this year? No. When you rupture your Achilles, it'll take about 5 or 6 years to get 100%. But with that knee being healthy now, he's getting away from the bad habits he had the last couple of years and being an upper body swinger. Now he can rely on sitting back, getting in that crouch, and using his back leg to drive off the ball, which he never had for the last couple of years.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Ruiz. And he grounds that one foul. That's Pete McCannon.
That's the Hooters girl.
It was a terrible effort by her. Terrible.
Pete, too.
Well, I think Pete was just trying to let it go by just to give the ball girl a little bit of practice. There we go. And I think if she had gotten the glove down, everything would have been fine.
Tell your infielders from the ground up. Get the glove on the ground and work up. You can't go from up to down.
Oh, now you tell me. I didn't even know that 20 years ago.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Dominic Brown is on deck.
I knew I was doing something wrong all those years in the infield.
Ground ball softly toward third. Bobbled momentarily, and they do get the lead runner. Ryan Howard, who is forced out at second. We asked him about his feelings about 2014.
I know that there's a lot of criticism and all that kind of stuff that goes about. I mean, for me, you know, I'm happy with where it was. You know, as far as batting average and everything like that, you know, there's a lot of different things you can't control, losing hits in the shift and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I'll continue to work. I'll continue to work to try to make that better and continue to work to try to hit it where they're not. But as far as everything else, you know, the biggest thing for me was just being able to finish the season healthy. Finishing the season healthy and being able to be productive, you know, those were 2 keys for me.
So I think, as you mentioned in the open, Matt, 153 games is the big positive that Ryan Howard took out of last year.
For sure. You know, everything else works, and I always said last year he was probably 300 or 400 at bats behind everybody else. You know, considering he played about 150 games the 2 previous seasons combined. So I think him finishing the season at 153 games, going into the offseason healthy, knowing that he still has to work on maybe cutting his swing down, putting the ball and playing more, but he still had 95 RBIs.
Dominic Brown takes a strike. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Dominic last year 10 home runs, 63 runs batted in. Moving over to right field this year. Not a spot that is new to him, but last year he was primarily the Phillies left fielder, but he has played 106 games during his big league career and countless games in the minors in right field. And Mike Schmidt told us on the air last year that there were certain things that he saw from Dominic Brown that he felt he could help with, and he has been trying to help him this year during spring training. Towards short, there's one. And the relay throw goes over the head of Garrett Jones into the dugout, so Brown will be awarded second base. According to Tom Hallion, the first base umpire. I thought Perella made the right decision here to barehand it, but he just couldn't get a grip on it. Whoop.
7, number 25, Cody Ashley, third base.
You know, and one thing real quick, guys, is that what you're going to see early in spring training games is a lot of weak ground balls like that because the timing is very bad. Either you're going to get jammed or hit off the end of the bat. Me personally, I'd rather get jammed. That means you're staying back a little longer.
Well, we have seen, it's got to be at least 6 or 7 balls already where guys have gotten jammed, right?
Well, I'm going to give you the count here in a second as soon as I flip over my page.
Is this part of new in-depth research, Matt?
9 baseballs so far have either been hit off the end of the bat or jammed.
Really?
Yeah.
9 times. Cody Ashley's the batter.
See, Ryan's doesn't count because it was a base hit. But he hit that off the end of the bat as well.
So it's 9 without his.
Correct.
Okay.
Plus it's a hit.
Put an asterisk next to it. Nice pitch is ripped toward right field. And Chris Young will make the catch. So the Phillies get their first hit. They leave one in scoring position. We've completed our first 2 here in Clearwater.
Every day,
Sox will be the first team into Citizens Bank Park. And opening night brought to you by McDonald's will be Wednesday, April 8th. It's a 7:05 first pitch. And a McDonald's t-shirt is free to fans 15 and older. You can order your tickets anytime by going to Phillies.com. Great t-shirt this year. It's red. If you have your collection of McDonald's t-shirts, you can add red this year to your collection. Phillies will start interleague play, or start the season with interleague play for the 3rd straight year. And we have found Jerome Williams. Whew. Been a little concerning there for a little while. Jerome is the 2nd pitcher out of the gate now for the Phillies. He was originally scheduled to start today, but David Buchanan goes 2 innings, 5 hits and 1 run. So now Jerome, who was 4-2 last year for the Phillies and 6-7 overall. Do you think Bob McClure, Ben, was happy with what David Buchanan did today as he's talking to Mickey Morandini?
I think so. You know, early in spring training, especially the first start of the year, again, David Buchanan doesn't have overpowering stuff. So if you get a little bit of adrenaline, your ball's going to be elevated a little bit more. He's a sinker ball guy. He did get a few ground balls, which you always like to see. You know, left some pitches up, and they hit him hard. He's got 5 hits in 2 innings, but it's definitely something you can work on.
Well, we begin the 3rd, and Chris Young, who has scored the game's only run, will be the hitter, and he takes a strike, according to Vic Carapazza.
Well, Matt, you talked about pace earlier with Buchanan. I think Jerome might beat him.
Over toward the hole, backhanded by Galvis. And Ryan Howard is able to extend. The very gifted defensively Freddie Galvis at shortstop.
First baseman.
We know he can field. The big question is going to be, can he hit on the major league level?
Well, he just makes everything backhand, right at him, routine plays just look very easily. If anything, he might relax a little bit too much and then decide to show that arm off. But he definitely is a high reel every game he plays at shortstop.
It's going to be odd to not see number 11 out there on opening day. Instead, he'll be out in Southern California, Jimmy Rollins. But Ryan Sandberg the other day told us that the instincts of Freddie Galvis is what he's excited to see. Ryan Howard, sprawling play. Jerome Williams covering. They probably do that more than anything else, it seems, in spring training. Little PFPs and work to perfection there by both the first baseman and the pitcher.
You see there, Ryan has a tremendous jump to his right. Yeah, that's one thing we've noticed this spring training is that first step he's had has been tremendous. Where a couple of years ago, over the last couple of years, it's kind of been a stutter step. Well, right here he has an instinct to go to his right, makes a nice play and a perfect feed to Williams at first.
That'll bring Perella to the plate. He singled home the only run his first time up.
You also see Cody Ashley coming into the mound there to give Jerome a breather to sprint to first.
This one toward the hole. Cesar Hernandez from shallow right field. 3 ground ball outs at a very quick third inning. 6 and only 6 pitches for Jerome Williams and Ryan Howard. Looking a little nimble over at first base to help record one of the 3 outs. At 5, Michael Marquand looks ahead to a showdown between the Flyers and the Calgary Flames with Keith Jones, plus highlights of today's Phillies spring training game and much more. Watch Phillies Sports Talk presented by Comcast Business on Comcast Sportsnet. Murph, I understand you're going to be a guest today on Phillies Sports Talk. Are you all ready to go?
I am ready to go. Work a little overtime today for my man Michael Barkan, which I'm happy to do.
You have sunblock on because you're going to look like a red tomato when you're on.
I do have sunblock on. You know I apply it every 2 innings. So that's pretty much, you know. Hey, we got Ben now too. He has to do the same thing. So
I didn't feel like I really welcomed Murph back to baseball.
Yeah, I didn't feel that way either, Tom.
Yeah, I felt terrible about it.
I'm over it.
So Murph, on behalf of Ben, I don't know if you know Ben, Matt, we want to welcome you to Phillies Baseball 2015.
Well, it is certainly good to be here for sure. Thank you, Tom.
You got it. Luis Severino will be the new pitcher for the Yankees. Last year in 24 games on 2 different levels, 6-5, a 2.47 ERA. There are some reports that say that Severino is the #1 prospect in the Yankees organization. Cesar Hernandez greets him with a bunt foul. Now that fastball was at 93. Some scouting sites have him at, and this is pretty fast, 92
to 102.
To 102.
Likes to take something off from time to time.
He was originally signed by the Yankees as a free agent. According to scouts, he was signed because of his slider, but I would think that the fastball has overtaken the slider as the pitch of choice for Severino. No balls, 2 strikes to Cesar Hernandez. Cesar's going to get a lot of time at second base for the next few days. Chase Utley will not play in any spring training games this week. He is coming back from a sprained ankle, which he sustained in January. But he's been participating in a lot of the drills the Phillies have had. So Ryan Sandberg doesn't think it's anything that big.
He's starting to get loose. That was 95. Pitch before that, though, I think was a slider. Pretty sure it was a slider. It was 89. Catcher set up down in, trying to back footing.
With a ground ball foul.
Another one there.
Well, we make fun, but we have to praise a little bit. There was pretty good technique there down the right field line. She attacked the baseman. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Cesar Hernandez. On the outside corner, Matt Stair's least favorite pitch.
The dreaded backup slider. It's never a strike and you cannot hit it. You want it down and in, it spins, never comes back.
It's got to break. It's got to break. Never does.
That really did look like it was outside from that camera shot from center field. Steve Henderson chatting with Cesar as he goes back to the dugout. Here's Cameron Rupp. Cameron hit a .183 last year on the big league level. I think the Phillies are going to give him, I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, every chance to be the backup catcher this year. I mean, I know that they have brought guys into camp and everybody, it's sort of a clean slate. But I think there's every chance that he's going to be given the most chances to become the backup catcher. Whomever it is going to have to hit a little bit, and they have to be able to handle the staff because as Rupp is struck out, because Carlos Ruiz is probably going to catch 110, 120, maybe 130, depending on how healthy he is.
I mean, Joseph is in camp. Decoy Hill. They have some options.
John Hester, a veteran, is in camp.
And that was one thing I asked Rhino. You're a former catcher. I know Chooch is getting older. How many games can he actually catch? Is it a day-by-day thing? Hey, Chooch, how you feeling today? Can you go? So I think he'll be in the 115 to 125 range personally, Chooch. So.
Well, the other guys that are in camp, we mentioned Hester, Matt mentioned Coy Hill, Tommy Joseph, Cameron, of course, and Rene Garcia. Is another veteran who Ryan Sandberg has in camp this year. Revere chops it foul. Revere grounded softly to third his first time up.
I'm sure that's a position that the Phillies would tell you we would like to have a lot more depth in because we know it really all starts back there.
Softly to third. And Revere is thrown out just slightly. And it's a 1-2-3 third inning. So a pretty easy inning for Severino. We'll go to the 4th. The Yankees still hanging on to a 1-run lead. Nights will begin on Thursday, April 9th at 7:05 when the Phillies take on the Boston Red Sox. It's a Hatfield Phillies Franks Dollar Dog Night. Tickets can be purchased for all 3 games against the Red Sox by going to Phillies.com. And each and every Dollar Dog Night, along with Ben Davis, Matt Stairs, Greg Murphy, I'm Tom McCarthy. It's great to be back in Clearwater, Florida. Game 1 of our spring training schedule, as Austin Romine fouls the first pitch away as we begin the 4th. So 2 innings from David Buchanan. He allowed just 1 run and 5 somewhat softly hit base hits. And now Jerome Williams in his 2nd inning out of the bullpen. One ball, 1 strike to Romine. He bounced back to the mound. And it's 1-2.
A lot of aggressive approaches. I know, Matt, you always said you'd like to see as many pitches as possible in spring training. These guys are going up hacking.
Well, it's for the long run. I think if you early in the spring training, you see more pitches, you get your timing down. Getting up there swinging at the first or second pitch, it doesn't do a whole lot for the long run. Yeah, it's great to get a knock. Trust me, you get a knock your first at bat, first pitch like Ryan did, tremendous. Now, is your timing set? No. Your confidence is. I was a big guy who enjoyed seeing pitches and working on pitches and seeing the different arm slots of either changeup, slider, or fastball.
Well, that's the first strikeout of the day for Jerome Williams. Austin Romine looked like he was a little tardy on that.
That's pretty much a fastball right down the middle.
A 2-seamer to the outside half there.
Here's Kyle Roller, swing and a miss. It's 0-1.
Late life. You're seeing that out of his first outing of the year. You got to be fired up about that.
Off the hands, Cody Ashe won't be able to pick that one up. And Roller will not be able to stretch that into a double, so a 1-out single. Here's Ben Rivera, made the last out for the Phils, and right about there, he kind of awkwardly went to the first base bag. He's kind of stretching his leg as he was going back towards center field. Juan Samuel asked him if he was okay. In the outfield, he's sort of stretching out that right leg. I didn't see anything that may have caused that problem, except for the way he went into that first base bag.
Well, unless a splinter off the bat got in his hamstring or something.
Well, you can discuss that with him later on.
I'll leave that alone for a few days.
Ben was part of the group that went on the Phillies tour this past offseason from city to city. He was great.
Does hurt your pride, though, doesn't it, Matt? Get jammed like that, I tell you. You don't really feel like running. You just want to crawl back into the dugout. Well, hopefully no one saw it.
All the bat companies have been here during the first week or so of spring training, so they've got enough wood. They've got enough arsenal. A 1 hopper to short, and it's going to be 2. A 4-6-3 double play. Very quick work for Jerome Williams, and that double play combination has known each other since Little League, so they could do that in their sleep. Yankees scored a run in the first inning. They lead it 1-0. That run came against David Buchanan. He allowed 5 soft hits here today. Murph, what did he have to say after the game?
You know, he just talked to reporters inside the clubhouse, and he talked about getting those ground balls, which is exactly what he is trying to do. A couple of them found holes. He said, you know, he definitely found some things he needed to work on. And, Ben, you mentioned it. A little pumped up, a little jacked up, and the ball was up in the zone a little bit. So he said, you know, when I get out there the next time, keep the ball down in the zone. That is what he needs to do to be successful, and that's what he'll work on next time around. But pretty much exactly what you guys thought with his first outing today.
Yeah, I thought he looked pretty comfortable out there. I don't know about you guys, but I love the pace as we talked about, and I think every pitcher after their first outing, there are not many that will walk away saying I was exactly where I wanted to be.
I don't care who you are, how hard you throw, you always want to be down, down, down.
Right.
And especially true for a guy that's not overpowering. Sometimes you can ride a fastball upstairs and get away with it. He can't. So when he misses, he needs a miss down.
A lot of broken bats today. I'll tell you one thing which we didn't talk about with David Buchanan. You will not see a kid who works harder than him. As you see Joely Rodriguez warming up in the pen.
I was very fortunate enough to catch David Buchanan a couple bullpens back in January when they were in for the winter caravan. I was very impressed the way he threw the ball, but I was very impressed with his cutter. On TV, it doesn't look like it does a whole lot, but it was very late, and it was sharp, and it was quick.
There's a line drive back toward the middle. Base hit for Freddie Galvis. So he's aboard to start the 4th inning. Second hit for the Phils. And that'll bring Grady Sizemore to the plate.
Nice level swing. Something that they've been working on this spring with the coaches working with all their groups and stuff. You know, last year we probably seen either a swing and miss or he would have popped it up. It's nice to see these guys are concentrating. Now it's going to take some time. It really is. You know, Dominic Brown last year had a tough season swinging with the uppercut swing. It's going to take you more than 2 weeks of spring training and 4 or 5 at bats to get used to it. Because it is a different approach of coming down at the ball and trying to stay through it longer.
No balls and 1 strike. Ryan Sandberg said something pretty interesting when we met with him the other day. He said that Dominic did it for most of the season. Sizemore punches that one through the middle, a base hit. And we had this internal conversation as to, well, why didn't he change it last year during the season? And I guess there's certain things that are better served to wait until after you're done when it's such a drastic change. So how do you retrain yourself now?
Well, for me, one of the things to try to keep you through the zone longer is that you put a ball on a tee right in the middle of the plate. It's about belt high. And what you do out in front of home plate is you put 3 baseballs in a direct line going towards the pitcher. And that is the angle of your bat and your barrel going through the zone. That keeps the bat through the zone as long as possible. Finishing with 2 hands. Think about finishing high. Whenever you finish high, your hands have to stay through the zone long. And if you take a swing and all of a sudden you're cutting your swing off, that's what you call the little loop swing. Your bat goes in the zone, another zone. So really, ball on a tee, a couple balls past it on the ground, and think about driving through there.
Here's Ryan Howard, who singled his only time up. Back-to-back hits for the Phillies against Luis Severino, the 21-year-old right-hander. Howard takes inside, 1-1.
See, his stance is drastically different. Drastically, especially his hand position, his back elbow. He's always a firm believer, the farther your back elbow got away from your body, the shorter your bat's going to be in the zone.
Did he go? They'll appeal, and they didn't really get a response, so looks like they did call it a strike or a swing. Diego Moreno is warming up in the bullpen for the Yankees. 2 balls, 1 strike to Howard. Up high, and it's 3-1.
Did you see Ryan did the little dance right there? He wanted to walk out of the batter's box and realized he couldn't, so he jumped back in with his left foot.
Yeah, the other day when the Phillies played the University of Tampa, Ryan Sandberg said that he didn't mention those speed-up rules to his players, but he said he had to remind them today. Out of play, and it's 3-2. See, Ryan's got about, well, now he's out of the box.
Well, he's allowed to on a foul ball.
Oh, that's right, on a foul ball. That's good. Matt, way to read the rules.
Thank you. I was very tired after I read the rules. 2 pages long is probably the most I've ever read in my life.
3 balls, 2 strikes to Howard. It's that one fouled on the left field line.
Just keep an eye on Ryan's hands and his shoulders, how relaxed they are. Right there, he's waiting for the pitch. He's nice and relaxed. No tensions in the shoulder. It's another guy. It's going to take a little bit to get used to it. But once he does and has that relaxation, I mean, it's tremendous. He just has, it's just a nice relax, straight to the ball and a powerful swing.
35 years old. He acknowledged the other day that my bat speed's probably not what it was 10 years ago. So you've got to make some adjustments to it. Off the hands, it's a right center field. That's a base hit. Rounding third, heading for home is Freddie Galvis. The throw by Chris Young offline, and the Phillies have tied this ball game up at 1. Ryan Howard is 2 for 2. And still nobody out with 2 runners on.
The bat is noticeably in the zone a lot longer, but it's still quick through the zone. And I will stress that the back elbow, it's just something that enables you to stay in there. You don't get to the ball and off the ball, but it's an above average fastball right there. You probably know it's coming, but to still get to that pitch, it's very, very good to see out of the big piece.
Well, let's see if the Phillies can continue to add on with nobody out and runners on first and second. Carlos Ruiz takes a slider for a strike, and it's 0-1. Carlos, fielder's choice is only time up. Back-to-back sliders. One toward the outer edge, one toward the inner edge. And it's 0-2.
That will happen when you've given up 3 straight hits on 3 straight fastballs.
Ben, what are you saying behind the plate?
Thank you.
No, not at the plate. What are you saying behind the plate?
As a catcher.
I just, how far in do you have that one?
Yeah. It looked like it might have been a tad in, but it was close.
Did you say it that nicely?
Of course.
Okay.
Nice,
especially in game 1 of spring training. I always felt I had a good rapport with the umpires. Sometimes I would get a little grumpy.
Out towards shallow center field. Ellsbury, a long run. Here comes Gardner, and Gardner to the left fielder puts it away. 1 out. Dominic Brown will be the batter. All right, so this is the point in the game that the coaches have talked about. These are the particulars that they really wanted to concentrate on offensively. Hit down through the baseball. We've talked about that. Become better with 2 strikes. Move runners, in that case, trying to get the 2 runners into scoring position. And then concentrate on getting runners home from third base. Those are the points of emphasis. There are a couple of others, but those are the 4 that Ryan Sandberg told us about the other day that they've been talking about.
Well, if you can get number 1 hit down through the baseball, that'll take care of number 4. You know, with the runners in scoring position at third base, a lot of times last year they hit the weak fly balls, and you know, so 1 will take care of 4. Moving runners, you know, I agree. I think this is going to be a totally different Phillies team this year, where they're going to do a lot of hit and run, a lot of stealing. They're not going to rely on a whole lot of power. So for them to work on it in spring training.
That one's a looper toward left. It'll drop in for a hit. Gardner's throw to second is not in time. He may have been better suited to go to third on that throw. And now the bases are loaded. Joe Girardi's coming out, and that's going to be it for Severino. And the Phillies have 4 hits in the inning.
And just a quick note, with 2 strikes, become better hitters with 2 strikes.
Right.
Tough area to be with 2 strikes to change your whole approach, but you just got to take something off your swing.
Well, the Phillies bases loaded for the new pitcher when we return. Has 20 seconds now to throw his first pitch. Now the clock started for him when he left the bullpen. In fact, when he came out to the mound, I thought he's not going to have enough time to warm up, but he got his warm-up pitches in. If he gets, he can get as many warm-ups as he wants, as long as he's within the range of the clock. But he's going to throw his first pitch as the clock winds down to 0 to Cody Ashe, who swings at the first pitch, lofts it toward left field. Tagging at third is Sizemore. Ryan Howard draws the throw. Sizemore will score, and the Phillies take the lead. And that's part of what they talked about. Yes, you'd love to bust the inning open with a base hit if you're Cody Ashe, but at least get the runner home from third with less than 2 outs. So 2-1, Phillies on top. Guys, you were both hitters. RBI situation early in the count. Is that the goal, was to get after it right away?
Yeah, especially with the bases loaded.
Chopper over to first, and Garrett Jones will toss it to Moreno, covering in time to retire the side. The Phillies, though, get 2 hits on 4 base hits. Ryan Howard is 2 for 2. He drove in the first run with this loop to right center field. It scored Freddie Galvis. Good start for Howard. Eric Gunn, John Gonzalez, and NBC Sports Network's NFL draft expert Josh Norris will discuss the Eagles' options with the 20th pick and if they will make a push for Marcus Mariota. Plus, we'll discuss the latest with free agency and the future of Jeremy Maclin and Kerry Williams being released today. Watch Quick Slants presented by Nissan, only on Comcast Sportsnet. Joely Rodriguez is one of the newer members of the Phillies, acquired from the Pittsburgh Pirates in the Antonio Bastardo deal. 23-year-old left-hander from Santo Domingo, the Dominican Republic. He's finished his warm-up tosses with 23 on the clock. Jerome Williams, meanwhile, threw just 17 pitches, so he's got to go to the bullpen and probably throw 13 to 18 more if they're going to stay within that 30 to 35.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, I was never a big fan of it. All the adrenaline's gone. I know you have to get your pitch count up, build that arm strength, but it's kind of just going out there just to do it.
All right, well, educate us a little bit as the Yankees lead it off here in the 5th inning. Are you throwing signs down as the catcher? I mean,
no.
What are you doing? Is he just throwing
Jerome's
fastballs?
calling the pitches.
Okay.
Maybe if there's something he wanted to throw a bit more of, he would just tell the bullpen catcher, you know, I'm going to work on this, get to that pitch count, shut her down.
Rodriguez delivers low. It's 2-1, and Nick Noonan, who singled his first time up.
But I have been on the receiving end of that, and you could just see that their heart's not into it. So
a high chopper to first. Ryan Howard is there. He's been busy this afternoon. And one away. All right, so a little bit about Joely Rodriguez. We mentioned he was acquired from the Pirates in December for Antonio Bastardo. His fastball, according to reports, will top off in the low 90s, about 92 miles per hour. He is a ground ball pitcher, and it seems in our 2 years with Bob McClure that he likes ground. I mean, every pitching coach likes ground ball pitchers, but he really likes ground ball pitchers. 6-11 last year in the minor leagues in 30 ball games. No balls and 1 strike to Jacoby Ellsbury. Ellsbury's 0 for 2. He's grounded out twice. In the air down the left field line. Grady Sizemore is there to make the catch, and there are 2 outs. So 2 away. Brett Gardner is the batter. Well, first game for Ben Davis in the booth. Matt Stairs in his 2nd year with the Phils. Greg Murphy down on the field. All right, so what do you think so far? Do you like the pole in front of you and everything that you're seeing as far as the game goes?
I don't know when to go left or right. Or
You enjoying yourself?
I'm having a blast.
Right.
Having a blast.
We've introduced your catcher's mitt. Next, we have to introduce your entire family. We got the catcher's mitt
We
out of
don't
the
have
way.
enough time for that. There's too many of them.
Brett Gardner takes high. It's 1 ball and no strikes. On the inside corner, a little different being up here in the booth. Matt, when Ben was back in the Comcast Sportsnet studios doing the pre and post game show, there were points during the game where he would go work out while watching the game. Is that right? Is that what you?
We had a gym upstairs, and do the pregame show, go upstairs, work out for a couple hours, pace myself depending on how long the game was.
Of hours?
Yeah.
See, we need to talk because to be in this booth.
Right.
We need to get a little bit of meat in those bones.
Wait. Both of you have seen me eat the last couple days.
But yeah,
I'm really good at it.
But you run 5 miles the other night. Are you kidding me? Come on.
Yeah. Your metabolism is moving a lot faster than our snail pace metabolism.
My snail died.
Here's called strike 3. Brett Gardner's down looking. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Joely Rodriguez. A nice start with a left-hander. Oh, this is a beautiful pitch. 2-1 Phils as we go to the bottom of the 5th.
A man pioneers a way to
today, and threw just 17 pitches. Was pretty effective. He had some late life on his fastball. He was also able to get this double play, which ended his second inning of work, a 4-6-3 double play. And he is down on the field with Murph. Murph, take it away.
All right, thanks, T-Mac. Well, we started the game with a changeup because we expected to see you first. We see you second. You said that it just let you know early on that you were going to go second?
Yeah, they let me know early on, and it didn't bother me at all. Just want to come out here and get the first one out of the way.
It certainly didn't look like it bothered you. It's 16 pitches out there on the mound, a very effective 2 innings. What are you working on, when you're getting your first 2 innings of spring?
Throwing strikes. That's the key to any pitcher, especially in the beginning. Just to throw strikes, get the ball down, let your defense work, get accommodated with everybody out there, and just have fun.
You arrive in spring training, starting this season with this team. You joined the team in August of last year, had real good success in your 9 starts. You had 4 wins in those 9 starts. And then the offseason comes and you get an offer from the Phillies. Was it a no-brainer that you wanted to be back with this club?
No-brainer. Especially with the guys that, from last year, having all that confidence and being out there on the mound, it was a no-brainer for me. I needed to come back. I needed to be a part of this team, and I needed to try and help this team get to where we want to go, to the World Series.
Last year you talked about making adjustments from the beginning of the season. When you arrived at the Phillies, you started doing things a little bit different, and we talked about your tempo just in the commercial break. Do you feel like you've got those adjustments and you're bringing them to camp?
Yeah. I've been working on it, in all season in California, and everything's paying off right now. So all I have to do is keep on going forward, and don't try to look back.
All right, well, a good first outing. You get that one out of the way. We look forward to seeing you pitch in another couple of days. Jerome Williams, guys, we'll send it back upstairs.
All right, Murph, thank you. And you just heard him talk to Murph about the switch and how casually Jerome talked about the switch today. That's how he is. It doesn't seem like much phases Jerome Williams. I guess when you've been around for as many years as he's been around, you kind of brush all those extra things aside.
Well, it's something you can't. There's no way you can control that. If they decide they want Buchanan to start, he's a happy-go-lucky, and we've seen that the first game he came up last year. He was sitting in the dugout and basically asking us questions, interviewing us. And he was starting that night. Very happy-go-lucky. I'm glad to see them re-sign him.
Jerome Williams had a couple of years where his record was solid. His first 2 years in the big leagues was 17-12. Won 10 games with the Giants in 2004. He won 9 games with the Angels in 2013. And he's trying to get as close to those numbers as he possibly can. 17-12 his first 2 years. That's nothing to sneeze about.
Now, didn't he beat the Oakland A's with 3 different jerseys?
Yeah. Houston, Texas, and with the Phillies. 1 ball, 1 strike to Ben Revere. Revere tries to hold up. He went around, and it's 1-2. Many conversations with Ben this offseason. Nearly winning the batting title last year. He finished 5th in the National League with a .306 batting average, and nearly getting to 50 stolen bases are 2 things that will drive him this year, he said, as he chops that one to Garrett Jones. Up to second goes Cameron Rupp.
All with a screw in his foot.
All with a screw in his foot. It was nice to hear him say that, though, that those individual numbers, he got a taste of what it was like to be part of that batting race, and he said that his goal is to be part of that batting race but win it this year. He said he doesn't know if he'll ever get back to that level, but that's his goal, is to strive for that level. Here's Freddie Galvis, 1 for 2 so far in their first strike.
These are the at-bats that I like to watch with Freddie Galvis hitting, to see if he's aboard with what they're teaching with that swing. We talked about last year he had a lot of balls in the air. Let's see if it carries over to what he's been working on.
Well, he was one of a handful of guys who played winter ball this past offseason. Played 51 games in winter ball. Hit .250. He had 12 extra base hits. Off the end of the bat, slowly hit. Over to third base goes Cameron Rupp. So 2 outs, runner at third. And that'll bring Grady Sizemore to the plate for the 3rd time today. All right, so this is one of those other points of emphasis for the Phillies. See if you can get a runner home from third with 2 outs.
Easier said than done. Doesn't it, Ben?
That it is. That's why those guys, Manny, Juan Gonzalez, those guys were, I wouldn't say they were automatic, but they found a way to get them in. RBI guys, they're just, to have a guy like that on your team, knowing that you can count on him in a certain situation to get that run in, that means a lot to a ball club.
Well, no balls and 1 strike to Sizemore. Now, you talked about Juan Gonzalez and Manny Ramirez. Those guys were home run hitters. Are home run hitters like that, or just RBI guys?
They throw one in the gap as well.
Yeah, instead of contact hitters, are those the better guys to have in this situation? I mean, I don't think Sizemore's a contact guy.
Right. Well, in this kind of situation, you want a guy that won't strike out.
Okay.
Or a guy that changes his approach.
Right.
A lot of guys will get a man on third base with 2 out and change their approach. Or you can just do that and get a balk and score a run.
We've got our first balk of the spring. Cameron Rupp will cross the plate. And it's 3-1 Phillies on top.
And Bob Davidson did not call it.
I actually looked over to first base. I swear I did as soon as I heard balk. And his hands were on his hip. There you go, Marino. What did he do? Right there.
Right there.
There's Bob. That one slings inside. 1-2 to Grady Sizemore.
How many times did he get Mark Burley?
Bob Davidson?
He's gotten him a number of times.
I honestly have asked Elias, who's our official statistician, if they have anything on how many balks Bob Davidson has called, and they don't have anything on it. Let's just say it's probably a lot. Well, the Phillies did get the runner in from third with 2 outs. Somewhat unconventionally, but they did it. 3-1 Phils as we go to the top of the 6th. Phillies lead at 3-1 as we go to the top of the 6th inning here at Bright House Field. We have our first changes of the spring. Darren Rupp takes over for Ryan Howard over at first base. Odubel Herrera, the Rule 5 selection for the Phillies, is in center field. Over at left field, coming off a solid winter ball, is Aaron Altair. And the Fanatic, well, in midseason form, shooting off some hot dogs. The Fanatic is here all spring, something that they started last year. Here's Aaron Judge. We think Ben is tall at 6'5". Well, Ben, this guy would be this guy would even dwarf you. At 6'7". Well, I don't know. 2 inches may not dwarf, but 6'7".
I don't know if Zeus ever put on a baseball uniform, but I think he would look like this if he did.
9 home runs, 45 runs batted into the minor leagues last year. He is out of Fresno State.
All men are created equally, right, Tom?
He is giant. Takes outside, 3-1. Second inning for Joely Rodriguez. Overall, Judge hit 17 home runs a season ago. He played in the Florida State League and the South Atlantic League. Three balls, 2 strikes. Phillies have some big dudes in camp. Jordan Danks, I think you would term him a big dude. Might see him at some point today in the outfield. It remains 3 balls and 2 strikes. Aaron Judge was a first-round pick. He's an outfielder for the Yankees. Over toward the hole, Kodiashi cuts off Freddie Galvis. And there's one away. Every day is fun when you spend it at a Phillies game with your group of 25 or more. Take advantage of special group opportunities, including discounts, theme nights, party areas, and much more. No matter what size group, there are always benefits and special options. For more information, check out Phillies.com/group tickets. Here's Greg Bird with one away, and Bird takes on the outside corner. He's batting for Garrett Jones, who was 1 for 2 today for the Yankees. Yankees obviously and the Phillies will face each other a number of times this spring because the Yankees train in Tampa. It's only about 20 minutes or so as Nick Goody warms up in the pen from here in Clearwater. The Yankees have said that Alex Rodriguez will play tomorrow up in Tampa.
Matt, your thoughts?
I wish I could have saw him today.
In the air to shallow left field, Altair. And there are 2 outs. Well, he has become story number 1, not only in Yankee camp, but probably around baseball to a certain extent. 654 home runs, obviously suspended the entire 2014 season, but owed $64 million through 2017.
Is that good?
For him, it is. I don't know if it is for the Yankees.
How many toonies is that, Matt?
A ton.
Well, Joe Girardi has had to, along with everybody else in the Yankee organization, has had to deal with that obviously over the last year or so, the whole steroid situation with Alex Rodriguez, and even into camp as Rob Refsnyder chops one foul. It's 0-2.
It's just a lot of extra attention. You're there to concentrate on baseball, getting ready for the season. You don't need all this other outside occurrences going on. It just takes away from what these guys are trying to do.
0-2 is outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's a good point, Ben. It has to get old.
Yeah.
You know, hey, can we talk to you? As long as you don't ask me any questions about A-Rod, I'll talk.
I think his teammates have actually done a very good job with all the attention. You know, considering there's no Derek Jeter this year. They're revamping on so many levels, but I think that his teammates, even if they've basically towed the company line, they've done a pretty good job of answering all the questions. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Refsnyder. It's 3-2. We mentioned that Stephen Drew will most likely be the starting second baseman for the Yankees. But if Joe Girardi decides to go to one of the younger guys, then Ref Snyder may have the inside track. Outside, ball 4, and that's the first base runner allowed by Joely Rodriguez. A season ago, the Baltimore Orioles were the top team in the American League East with 96 wins. Pretty comfortable dozen-game lead over second place New York and third place Toronto.
Well, it's going to be interesting this year in the AL East. Blue Jays went up and they done a very nice job of bringing in some more hitters. The Red Sox have got stronger.
Broken back ground ball to shortstop. Freddie Galvis is there. Easy inning for Rodriguez, even with the 2-out walk. So the Phillies pitchers each have thrown 2. Each have been rather effective here this afternoon.
When you
April 12th at 1:35 when the Washington Nationals are in town. First 3-game series against the Nationals in 2015. Tickets can be purchased at Phillies.com, and check out all the promotional schedule. If you go online, you can see that the Phillies backpack is free to fans 14 and under for Turkey Hill Kids Opening Day. Compliments of the good folks at Turkey Hill. Well, we've got wholesale changes, as we like to say in spring training, for the Yankees. We begin at first base, where Greg Bird takes over for the Yankees. At second base, Rob Ref Snyder, who did pinch hit in the last half inning. The new shortstop is Cito Culver. And there he is. Over at third base is Cole Figueroa, taking over for the Yankees. We'll go to right field, where big Aaron Judge. And over to center field, where Jake Cave will take over there. In left field, how about this name? This is an athlete's name right here. Slade Heathcott is going to take over in left field. And behind the plate is John Ryan Murphy for the Yankees. Now, if you're not going to have wholesale changes, if you're not going to throw a new pitcher out there, Nick Goody will take over for the Yankees.
Goody to Murphy.
Goody to Murphy. Darren Ruff will bat for the first time. And he takes a strike. It's 0-1.
And this is where my score sheet goes right in the garbage.
You did a nice job for 5.5 innings, Matt.
Appreciate it.
Last year, Goody, 27 starts, 2-3 with a 4.60 ERA. Last year, he was coming back from Tommy John surgery. Darren Ruff smokes one right at shortstop Culver. One away.
Designated hitter Carlos Ruiz.
Goody had the distinction during his amateur days of being drafted twice. A lot of guys have been drafted twice, but by the same team. Drafted by the Yankees decided to, after the first time, to go to LSU and enjoy the college game. And then the Yankees selected him again. He went up in the draft order the second time. Carlos Ruiz swings at the first pitch. 2 outs here in the 6th.
I think we'd be remiss if we left out how great a job Yoeli Rodriguez did for the Phillies. I really liked his stuff. He's firm fastball, very good slider. You know, that's what you want out of these guys, coming in throwing strike after strike after strike. But he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, and for a lot of the Phillies players, as you see Gomez warming up in the bullpen, a lot of the new Phillies players that are coming onto the roster this year, many of whom have only been in the minor leagues, we don't know a whole lot about. Dominic Brown takes a strike. It's 0-1. Dominic is 1 for 2 today. Singled his last time up.
Last year, and a couple of bats he's had it, I just don't see his hands getting into that loaded position. They never get centered. They never get back. So much they go back, but the bat never moves. It's not a power position he's in with those hands. He kind of bars that front elbow at Matt. You know, I just.
Well, we mentioned 2 years ago when he hit the 27 home runs. You know, they talked in our meeting the other day. You asked him, Ben, about that, about Dominic Brown and whether he's on his last leg, and he's hit in the leg there. And Ryan Sandberg didn't say that, but he did basically say that they want to try to get him back to 2 years ago, if at all possible.
He just got in that habit of swinging up on the baseball. If you do get a hanging changeup, hanging breaking ball, yes, you might hit that ball out of the ballpark. But if you get anything firm and down, you don't have a prayer.
Well, he's a base runner with 2 men down here in the 6th. Then Cody Ashe, who is 0 for 1 with a sac fly, will be the batter. Cody drove in one of the 2 runs the Phillies picked up in the 4th. Up high, 1 ball, no strikes.
Cody has potential to double those numbers this year. He has potential to hit 20 home runs. He's got a great setup. He's a quiet hitter. He's what you call a handsy hitter. We talk about less is more. He just relies on his forearms and his hands to use that bat speed, the barrel. He hits the ball to left field, right field. There's really no area where he doesn't drive the ball with power.
And he is the Phillies' 3rd baseman.
Yes.
That was made abundantly clear to us the other day as Brown takes off, pitches a strike. The throw is high, and Brown is safe at second base. Dominic, who had 7 steals a season ago, picks up a stolen base here in the 6th inning. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
I like it. We talked about it with Ryan Sandberg in the meeting the other day about this team being more aggressive. And he said they're going to start running. They're going to start stealing bases, do a lot more hit and runs. It's a great time to do it with 2 outs. Now, if he would have got thrown out, it wouldn't have been very good because Cody's probably done for the day and he wouldn't have got another at bat.
Would not have been very good for
He would have had to go back out in the field, play another half inning, and to come back and get his AB.
Foul back to the screen. 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's been a lot of talk about Maikel Franco. And what he did in winter ball and his potential. Well, he's been taking ground balls at 3rd and over at 1st. And as everybody's read, Cody's taking some fly balls out and left, but that just may be sporadic for him to take those fly balls out in left field. Swing and a miss, and he is struck out. And the Phillies leave 1 in scoring position. No runs, no hits, and 1 man left. We've completed 6. On to the 7th here in Clearwater.
iSeptic
already used by the Phillies today. Very effective in his 2 innings. He walked just 1 batter, but he kept the ball down. We mentioned that he's a ground ball pitcher, and guys, he looked like he was keeping the ball down in the zone. Down, down, down is where you want to be. And that's late life, too. If you're a right-hander, you see it right there. If you're a right-handed hitter, you get a sinking fastball down and away. You pull off it, you're going to roll it over. And I think we've watched some video of him as we look at our game summary, and surprisingly, he's a little farther down with his arm slot than I even thought. So Ryan Howard is 2 for 2 with an RBI here today. Jerome Williams, a very quick 2 innings of work. David Buchanan went 2 innings, allowed just 1 run. And now as we go to the top of the 7th inning, the Phillies will make a couple more changes, including out on the mounds, where the new pitcher will be Jeanmar Gomez. So he will take over on the hill. I should say Jeanmar Gomez, 2-1 with an ERA of 3.19. Over from the Pirates organization. Maikel Franco is now at third base for the Phils. And next to him is Andres Blanco at shortstop. Jeff Francoeur takes over in right field for the Phils. It's been a pretty good influence so far in camp. And the new catcher is Coy Hill, who will take over for Cameron Rupp. There's Coy. Mason Williams will lead it off for the Yankees against Gomez. First pitch is outside, 1 ball and no strikes. All right, guys, a little scouting report on Gomez. Originally signed by the Indians, was picked up by the Pirates prior to the 2013 season. Now the Phillies signed him as a free agent. Pitched in 44 games last year for the Pittsburgh Pirates with an ERA of 3.19. Out toward left center field, and Herrera sidewinding around, makes the catch. Murphy had a pretty good view of that because you're out at the new scoreboard here at Bright House Field.
Yeah, right out here in left center field, and right over my left shoulder is the brand new scoreboard. I think we can all agree that when it comes to the Grapefruit League, it is about as good as it gets here at Bright House Field, but always making improvements, and this is a big one. How about 27 feet high, 31 feet wide, new video scoreboard? It's almost double the size from a year ago. It has the live game action as it's going on. It's got the fan cams as some cameras are walking around here at Bright House Field. Real-time stats as well. So state-of-the-art here at Bright House Field. There's also a ribbon board that is over the visitors' dugout. That's 4 foot by 26 foot. Also showing video and some stats as well. So it's just a great improvement to what is already a terrific ballpark here at Bright House Field. But, you know, I've had a couple people, fans, ask me, hey, is that scoreboard new? People are starting to notice that out here in center field. It's really hard to miss. And I'm sure it helps you, Tom, as well when you're calling the game, because you have just about all the information you need right there in front of you. So.
Yeah, in fact, even the highlights that they've run over the last couple of days, it's crystal clear. And some of the particulars about the upgrade, the real-time stats, the speed pitch, that's for me, we're spoiled. I don't know if you guys agree with this, but in the big leagues, everywhere we go, you can find how fast the pitcher's throwing. Well, here at Bright House, it hadn't been anywhere until now. Right. See, 89 under the lucky Dill, under the pickle.
Oh, that speed gun is the pitcher's favorite friend, because they love to throw pitches and they look right up there to see how hard it is.
They sure do. Yeah, I don't know why the temperature is 94 degrees.
Yeah, Murph, what's up with that?
Well, I think that's a tick or two high. Yeah. I don't think it's quite 94. But you know what? You mentioned the sunshine, Tom, and certainly we have a lot of it today and a lot of it in Florida. The board is also built to be crystal clear, as you said, in the sunshine. Superior sunshine performance is what I'm told. So, I guess so far. So good, right?
Superior sunshine,
which is hard to say, by the way. Yeah.
Does that have something to do with the 16 mm lead something?
There's a lot of pixels up there. A lot of pixels.
Just say it's really clear.
The 16 mm LED.
LED.
LED, that's right. No balls and 1 strike to Cito Culver. last year with the Tampa Yanks. 5 homers, 48 RBIs. 0-2.
It's a good location for that 0-2 slider. Down and away.
Absolutely. Beats the alternative of hanging it. Those hanging sliders go a long way.
Great point.
Just missed. 2 balls and 2 strikes. There's Dominic Brown with the rights of spring. He's getting some autographs from your favorite Phillies player.
Another pitcher coming in throwing strike after strike after strike. Bob McClure's got to be very, very excited about this performance thus far.
It's actually a good point. We haven't had a whole lot of deep counts for a lot of these pitchers.
And I know the Yankees didn't bring their A squad over here. That's understandable, but you still like to see the pitchers in the attack mode all the time.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Cito Culver. Whacks that one to third. Get a chance to see the arm of Maikel Franco. And the side is retired in order. Well, Gomez, a very easy top of the 7th. Time to stretch here at Bright House Field. You can follow the words and take me out to the ball game on the brand new scoreboard.
Hi, my name is Jim Taylor.
Stretch time at Bright House Field. Phillies leading the New York Yankees 3-1. Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Barkan. And coming up on Philly Sports Talk at 5 o'clock, the Eagles make their 3rd roster cut of the offseason. Big name cut today, and we'll discuss what it means for the defense. And Al Morganti and Keith Jones join us to break down the Flyers and the Flames. But for now, we send you back to Phillies baseball and Tom McCarthy, Matt Stairs, and Ben Davis.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. We appreciate that. 3-1, Phillies on top as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning on a bright, sunshiny afternoon. You know, back home, everybody's dealing with some inclement weather again, and will be for the next couple of days. But hopefully, as we roll into the weekend, the clocks will be adjusted and warmer weather will be upon us. As we begin the bottom of the 7th inning, Cesar Hernandez will face Jacob Lindgren. Selected by the Yankees last year out of Mississippi State. The first pitch is taken high. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Pitched with 4 different teams a year ago. Cesar Hernandez is 0 for 2 today, and he fouls the next pitch away. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. The Yankees have an assortment of left-handers that they're going to rely on this year, but the fact that Lindgren was a college pitcher, in this day and age, he may be one of those guys, if he has a good spring, that could find his way into the Yankees bullpen early on.
If he keeps on throwing sliders like that down into the right-handers. Yeah, he has a tight little wind-up. He hides the ball well.
Chopper through the hole and a base hit for Cesar Hernandez. So a leadoff single here in the 7th. And that'll bring Coy Hill up for the first time. You know, Phillies games are fun for a group, but do you know how charitable they can be? Well, groups of 25 or more are eligible for fundraising opportunities that benefit their designated cause. It's a great way to raise funds and awareness. Learn more at Phillies.com/group tickets. Here's Coy Hill. Cameron Rupp today was 0 for 1 with a walk and a run scored. So Coy Hill getting a chance to bat here, takes a strike. It's 0-1.
You see him in Hernandez there. He throws the strikeout sliders for strikes, and then he throws the get me over breaking ball, and it gets hit for a hit. You know, that just shows these guys obviously need some maturation, and that's all part of spring training.
Runner goes, pitch is fouled, and it's 0-2. Well, that's it. We talk about college pitchers, how in this day and age, look at the kid from the Royals last year who had such an impact on their success in the postseason, being drafted a season ago and was in college. But there, even though you play at a big-time school, an SEC school, there may be little things that you still have to adjust to. I mean, John Ryan Murphy may have called that pitch, but if you're the pitcher, you can shake him off too.
Right. You see a lot more organizations going to the draft, going into a draft, knowing they want to draft college players. The Phillies made that abundantly clear last year.
With Aaron Nola being selected.
With Aaron Nola, and then picks after that, they were all college players. It's one thing to look at a high school player and see raw talent and see what could be. But I think with the college players, you're getting more of what actually is out of a player.
Yeah, and you wonder if the success that Brendan Finnegan had with the Royals last year, if that even adds to.
We're looking at a great conference. ACC, SEC. These are unbelievable conferences. The best in the country.
Outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. How's the college baseball in Canada, Matt?
Cold right now.
Yeah. There it goes. Pitches swung on and missed. It gets away from Murphy. Coy Hill didn't realize it.
Coy Hill's out.
He's out.
And he's out because first base is occupied. So the runner goes to second on should be a stolen base since he was going on the pitch. So Hernandez is in scoring position, and here is Odubel Herrera, a Rule 5 pick by the Phillies out of the Texas Rangers organization. Guy that spent some time as an infielder, but the Phillies are using him primarily as an outfielder. They'll have as much of the spring as they want to decide whether they want to keep him or not, or as per the rules in the Rule 5 draft, they can offer him back to the Rangers only if he passes through waivers and nobody else claims him for the same price that the Phillies got him for from Texas. Last year in Double-A, 321, 2 homers, 48 runs batted in. Played exceptionally well in winter ball where he won the batting title. One ball, 1 strike. Phillies are adjusting their roster obviously this year as they sort of turn things over. It might be easier for Herrera to make the team because there may be jobs to fill. Because it's hard for a Rule 5 guy to convince a team that they're good enough to play.
Well, I think with his winter ball he did extremely well. He impressed a lot of people playing in a tough division down there in winter ball. This year might be a little easier because left field is open. But you still have to go out and produce. You have to go out there and one, have good work habits. I always thought when you step on the field, don't give a coach an excuse not to like you. You can control the way you run. You control the way you play the game. Just don't put too much pressure on yourself while he's hitting. And you can tell by this is my first time seeing him in the batter's box. I can tell he's a very confident young man.
Honestly, he looks different even today than he did in the University of Tampa game the other day. He was a little more anxious, I thought, in that game. But here he's running the count to 3-1.
Interesting stance. That's a lot of movement. A lot of movement.
Chopper back toward the middle. Ref Snyder has it. Well, he certainly can run. That ball goes into the dugout. Hernandez will come home, and the Phillies lead it 4-1. I don't know if he would have been out or safe at first base because he was moving up the line. Well, take a look.
He would have been out.
He would have been out, yeah.
But
that ball wasn't even close to the first base.
Getting out of that batter's box and going extremely hard down the line and realizing that the second baseman is sitting back a little bit and forces the bad throw.
You could see the panic mode in the second baseman.
Well, they scored an E4 all the way. So the Phillies have scored a run on a balk today, and they've scored a run on an error. They lead it 4-1, and Andres Blanco is the hitter.
Manufacturing runs, Tom.
Doesn't matter how they get them. Pitch is high. Herrera took off and then stopped.
Good choice because he had a terrible jump.
Murray is warming up in the bullpen for the Phils. The guys they brought up from the minor league camp. Way outside, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hands out toward left. Herrera's going to have to get back to second base.
He is quick out there.
He is fast.
He is quick.
I mean, we've watched a lot of drills, but it was tough to tell what guys were doing. He was moving pretty good on the drills. And you see some of the changes, the offseason acquisitions that the Phillies have picked up. We've talked about Harang and the fact that he'll be battling for a spot in the rotation. Frank Coors in right field right now. Slowey, a veteran pitcher. I think Chad Billingsley's going to be an interesting guy just because he's
always has had the stuff.
Yeah,
always. It's just a matter of him staying healthy, but never a comfortable at bat. 4-pitch pitcher and can strike you out with all 4. They're the guys you never really like facing. But talking with Ruben and Rhino the other day, bringing these guys into camp, they were very big on character guys. You see at Frank Court, everyone gravitates towards him. Big character guys and creating a different atmosphere in the clubhouse.
The other guy that was on that list, and Phillies fans will get a chance to see him during spring training games for the first time, Elvis Arrojo, the big left-hander.
Big fan of him.
One ball, one strike. Outside, 2-1.
I wouldn't be a fan of hitting against him.
No, Ben, you'd have to bat right-handed against.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
Always want that pitch coming into me.
Yes. Brandon Pinder is warming up in the pen for the Yankees. Another hard-throwing right-hander. 2-2 to Altair.
I'd like to see one of these guys get one up in the air. The wind is howling out to left. We saw a couple balls in batting practice, Matt, that just hooded 2 irons out to left.
Aaron Altair is a guy that's going to be in the mix for a spot maybe in left field. It may not be to start the year, depending on how he does this spring. We saw him come up last season. He made his major league debut in a Phillies uniform. Out toward right center field. It's not deep. A long run in. It drops in for a base hit, read beautifully by Herrera with 2 outs. And it's 5-1. Phillies on top. And Joe Girardi's coming out. And that looks like it's going to be it for Lindgren. So Altair picks up an RBI single. And a pitching change for the Yankees with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And the Phillies on top 5-1. We'll be back with the new pitcher right after this. Phillies news and analysis from our insiders, plus videos, scores, schedules, and more. Visit csnphilly.com/app and download today. Philly fanatic making his way through the crowd. He's been all over the ballpark here today and will be the entire spring. Phillies 5 runs on 7 base hits. They lead it 5-1 here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And the Yankees will turn back to their bullpen and bring in Brandon Pinder, the former 16th round selection in 2011. Pitched to AA and AAA last year. And because of his numbers and the fact that he throws between 91 and 97 miles an hour, they protected him on the 40-man roster. He's on to face Darren Ruff, who lined out his only time up. So he's 0 for 1. And Ruff right on that fastball, which came in at 95. And it's 0-1.
Aaron did scold a ball to shortstop his last at bat, but you like to see good hard contact. I said it was a good spring training out, right, Matt? You hit it hard, don't have to run.
Exactly.
But did they mark that down?
Coaches know.
Okay.
Coaches know.
in there, 0-2. Darren said the other day, he said, listen, I haven't had a good spring training the last 2 years. I mean, last year was because of the injury in some ways. He understands that he's fighting for a spot, whether it be as the left fielder, a fourth outfielder, an extra first baseman, or just a right-handed bat off the bench. I mean, his season really can go a handful of different ways.
Yeah, and maybe playing winter ball this year might have helped him some more. Seeing some more pitches, even though he didn't have the greatest winter ball.
Right.
But you still saw some pitches. Your timing's on. Some players just have a tough spring training.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Ruff.
And I have seen players who are Hall of Famers in spring training.
And last about 10 days maybe in the majors before they go back down.
If that.
I would like to see him get a chance, though. I think he could do it. I think he could be a 20 to 25 home run guy.
Can he play left field?
I'm telling you, I'm not going out on a limb there.
Yeah. Do you think he can play left field?
He's never hurt them before. He hasn't hurt them at first. He definitely didn't hurt them in left. And that was supposed to be a big knock on Darren.
Foul tip hung on to by Murphy. Phillies get a run. They leave 1. Actually, they get 2 runs. They leave 1. We'll go to the 8th inning. Phil's on top by 4. Teacher Appreciation Night will be Friday, May 8th. Nominate your teacher now. Go to Phillies.com/teacher for information. Get information about all Phillies ticket sales and all promotions by going to Phillies.com. Gomez is still out there for the Phils. The only change the Phillies have made defensively is at second base. We saw Phelps play third base the other day in the game against the University of Tampa. But now Cord Phelps is on to play second base here. Jake Cave will be the leadoff hitter for the Yankees. First pitch is over. It's no balls and 1 strike. See Cave's numbers a season ago in the minor leagues. Oh, and 2.
Nice changeup right there.
Great changeup.
Same location as the fastball. Bottom dropped out of it.
A lot of those today. Gomez athletic. 1 away. I guess it shouldn't shock anybody when a pitcher makes a play like that, but he had a move to go get that.
Nice running changeup. Does a nice job coming over.
I always found that athletic pitchers were few and far between.
Yes.
Yeah, but you were a pitcher at the end. Were you not athletic?
1 year. But I don't know. There were a couple that were Trevor Hoffman was very athletic. But
go ahead, name your friends now.
Yeah, we had to cut the cord with San Diego.
I'm just saying, they were few and far between.
There's Slade Heathcott.
There were some pitchers I would have to worry about where I would throw the ball back because they couldn't turn their hand to catch the ball.
Hysterical.
I'm telling you.
All right, Greg Maddux was athletic.
He won a Gold Glove every year.
Yeah. A little low, 2 balls and no strikes. Do these guys, do they know how you felt about throwing the ball back?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, that 0-2 changeup that Gomez threw, he threw it 0-1, got a great swing and miss at it. And I've been told by a lot of pitching coaches, don't ever throw an 0-2 changeup because hitters are more defensive. They're able to get a bat on the ball. But if you get a swing and miss like on an 0-1 pitch like that,
right.
I see nothing wrong with throwing an 0-2 changeup, as long as it's obviously in the right location. But if you have a hitter that fooled, it's hard to make adjustments from pitch to pitch that are that drastic because he was so out in front. And he made a great 0-2 changeup.
Well, now, would you have called it as a catcher?
Absolutely.
Okay. 3 balls, no strikes. Mario Hollins, Ryan O'Sullivan warming up in the pen. Now, if you had called it, would your pitching coach have said something to you about it?
I don't think if it's that location you get that result. I don't think so. Obviously, if he hangs it and hits it out on the Route 19, it's a different story.
There's a liner out toward right center field. Herrera is going to try to cut it off and does. And the throw into second not in time, so that's an extra base hit. The Yankees' first of the afternoon. And they've got a runner at second base with 1 out here in the 8th inning. By the way, we look at this pitch here. And here is Aaron Judge. By the way, I can't let the conversation about athletic pitchers go by the boards without asking you how you threw the ball back to Jamie. Now, did you throw the ball right at him? Jamie, and remember, he may be watching today.
No, Jamie, I'll tell you what. Jamie was pretty good. He got off the mound very well.
Yeah.
He got off the mound as good as anybody. But he was fine.
Yeah.
Jamie was fine. And he knows I wouldn't pull any punches, but he was pretty athletic.
Matt, who do you think's phone's going to start buzzing first? Me, you, or Ben?
Ben.
Down low, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Because for once, I'm going to bite my lip about pitchers being athletes. I see everyone in the camp this year as a true athlete for the Philadelphia Phillies as pitchers.
Your nose is growing.
Yeah. Pinocchio was a really good motivational speaker. 1 ball, 1 strike. On the inside corner, 1-2. Got him going after that breaking pitch. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Might be tiring a little bit here. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Thrown 27 pitches in less than 2 innings of work. Pretty solid first inning where he retired the side in order 1-2-3. He's got a left-hander in the on-deck circle. Phillies had Mario Hollins, a lefty, warming up in the bullpen.
Nice barehanded grab down in the VIP / green seat area.
The VIP diamond dugout.
Yeah, there you go.
That was a very nice grab. Not bad. It just missed. And that's ball 4. And that'll put runners on first and second. Well, we mentioned it was a busy off season, and we knew this might happen, but how about Matt Stairs being inducted into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, part of the class of 2015. Bob Elliott is the gentleman with the yellow shirt. Felipe Alou, the Expos uniform. Carlos Delgado. And I think most people are going to wonder, Matt, who the heck is number 47? That was the sweet-swinging Corey Koski. The Minnesota Twins organization. Seriously, congratulations on that honor. That's a tremendous honor.
No, it is. It was fun when they gave me the call and told me I was going in the 2015 class, the Hall of Fame class, and and I said, okay, who's going in with us? And every single one of them. Bob Elliott never wrote a bad article about me, so I like him a lot.
Right, Toronto Sun, Hall of Fame writer.
Felipe Alou was my first big league manager. Carlos Delgado and I shared the same agent. And Corey Koski, of course, being a Canadian and playing for Team Canada for many, many years. So I'm really looking forward to it, and it should be a good time in St. Mary's, Ontario.
All right, so let me ask you something. The Hall of Fame, the Baseball Hall of Fame decides what logo a player will wear on his plaque. How did you decide to wear a Toronto Blue Jays uniform?
I didn't.
You didn't?
No. It was just, they sent me some pictures, and
you chose.
They happened to be all the Blue Jay pictures.
Because you played for the Expos.
Yep.
Right?
You played for the Expos, played for,
well, the other teams don't matter. They're in the United States.
But I think what it is it's where what from my understanding is, one, if you're Canadian and you do well, you're going to be put in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. Or if you played for Montreal or Toronto and did a significant outstanding deed of putting good numbers up, like Carlos Delgado.
Or Felipe Alou managing.
Right. Or Tim Raines with the Expos, Larry Walker. Apparently they choose it, so I said okay, and I still haven't said yes to the Toronto.
I will say though, that picture, I don't know if that's something that is an outstanding picture.
Thank you. That's a picture that I put together. I decided to, everyone knows I have a great golf tournament every year.
Yeah.
And that was something where we sent to Japan. A gentleman in Japan does that for us. Real Cormier has done one. Has one done. It's great. You send them individual pictures.
Beautiful picture.
He puts them together. He paints them, and I end up getting about 6 or 7 of them done. Now we've ordered about 15 of them, and we'll send them to the auction and auction them off at tournaments and raise money.
Out of play down the left field line. Well, it's a great honor. We're real proud of you. And,
Thank you. And well deserved.
Yeah, well deserved.
Well deserved.
What's the date? Oh man, I put him on the spot.
After Cincinnati.
Okay.
Because I think it's June 12th or something like that. I know we're broadcasting in Cincinnati, then I'll go to St. Mary's, Ontario.
Okay.
Have a fun weekend.
Out toward right field, that's a base hit. They will not score on Francoeur. He still has an excellent arm. Plus, there was a late start by the runner at second base. So the bases are now loaded with one man down. We received confirmation from the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame that it is the 13th of June.
Thank you.
They are really quick to react.
That's one day that I better not miss.
Yeah, if you showed up on the 14th, it would probably miss all the festivities.
You're right, Tom. I think Gomez is running out a little gas.
Which I would think you expect.
It's a lot of pitches. He's running a lot of deep counts. Love to see a ground ball here for Pear.
Yeah, Ref Snyder walked his only time up. That one's in there for a strike. It's no balls in one strike. Chopper foul, and it's 0-2. Aaron Altair is going to help out down the left field line. That wasn't the easiest of angle to defend. Jeff Snyder will be followed by John Ryan Murphy, who's in the on-deck circle. There he is. Off the plate. Coy Hill has it. It is a foul ball. Well, give Carapazza credit. I mean, he hopped up immediately and took a look.
That would have come in handy, though. The double play we were talking about.
It would have been very helpful for Gomez. Jeff Snyder's lucky. At that point, he's thinking, I better go.
It's a close call.
Yeah, I think that's one you might see during the regular season being challenged.
Breaking ball down low. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Probably need an overhead angle to see exactly where Coy Hill caught that ball off the plate.
Fly ball. I should say a pop-up. Infield fly rule will be called. Tom Hallion makes the call, and there are 2 outs. Boy, that was just a thud off the bats.
Actually, I don't think that is a reviewable. The chopper foul ball.
Right,
that's
correct.
Not reviewable.
It's got to be in the air down the left and right field, beyond the first and third base bag, to the outfield grass. To me, and what I was going to say is, I think it should be. But you mentioned angles, Ben.
Right.
It'd be hard to find the right camera angles.
Yeah.
Talented as camera operators are around the country, there may not be enough angles to call something like that fair or foul.
Only the domes have that angle.
Right over the top.
Yep.
Here's Giant Ryan Murphy, and he broke his bat. Man,
no one. Well, Gomez, give him credit. Got out of that one. That was great.
Leaves him loaded. We'll leave for the bottom of the 8th inning here in Clearwater. The Phillies up by 4.
And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Phillies.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is now available. Join the millions of subscribers Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit MLB.tv for details. Well, on a warm day here in Florida, getting a chance to watch the game out on the berm. Here's that play we're talking about. Here's the angles that we have. This is why it would be difficult to judge whether it's fair or foul, unless there's an angle that's right, well, basically in the first row to the left of the on-deck circle.
It would have to be an overhead view.
Yeah, it would have to be an overhead view. And even then, I mean, it might even be up for debate as to where the ball actually is. Here is Xavier Paul, veteran outfielder, getting a chance to bat. We saw him when he was with the Dodgers. We saw him when he was with the Pirates. Phillies have brought in a lot of non-roster invitees. Part of that is for competition, which they always like. Teams always like, but also to kind of restock the AAA team, the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs.
I believe we counted 16 this morning.
16 non-roster invitees.
I'm sure that's what it is. $18.
18, including Kevin Slowey, veteran pitcher. That one's lifted down the left field line into foul territory and out of play. There is Chris Lang. You see that number 3 and the name Ozark on the back. The 11-year-old grandson of the late Danny Ozark. He is today's bat boy. His Christmas wish was to see Poppy's team play. We saw him before the ball game today. He's here with his mom, dad, and sister from Vero Beach, which is on the east coast of Florida, the former spring training home of the Dodgers. And Danny was a coach for the Dodgers before he was with the Phillies. As Paul is thrown out, 4-3 on the putout. But he was excited today. You know, it's funny, you see that uniform, the name Ozark on the back, and it's not a common name, and you're thinking there has to be a relation. And Larry Shank, the great former Phillies PR director, was walking around with the Ozark family today before BP, getting a chance to soak it all in. Here's Jeff Francoeur for the first time. Inside corner, and it's 0-1.
I didn't swing at that one, huh, Matty? He likes to swing it. Now, I look down and see number 3. I think immediately Dale Murphy. Dale Murphy came to the Phillies. I was a huge Dale Murphy fan. Obviously, watching a lot of the games on TBS with the Braves. I always enjoyed watching Murphy play. And then when he came to the Phillies, I was ecstatic. I mean, I was very excited.
You think Jeff Francoeur has something left that can help the ball club?
It would be a right-handed bat that they need. He has a hot spring, so can play the outfield. Very strong arm.
How about the fact that he got a chance to pitch a bunch of times last year in the minor leagues?
He's probably pretty ecstatic because he's working with Charlie Manuel in those hitting groups, and he admires Charlie Manuel, and Charlie Manuel said he's always wanted to work with him. I hope he has a tremendous spring.
Well, they talked about the relationship between the two, Charlie Manuel and Jeff Francoeur. Paul Hagan wrote a story the other day for MLB.com, which included stories about their relationship. And I remember Charlie used to ride Jeff Francoeur, praise Jeff Francoeur, signal to Jeff Francoeur when he was on the Braves. You know, they had these continued conversations all the time. And anybody that's known Charlie over the years, one of the things that you always hear from Charlie is if he sees you and he knows you, he'll say, and he'll throw a nickname out there, how about Frenchie? How about Stairs? How about Big Ben?
It's a hellacious hat.
He's got I watched him in batting practice today, and batting practice, he swings one hand. In the game, he swings both with two hands.
Out toward right field. Playable for Judge. Yeah, there are 2 outs. Well, guys, you mentioned the roster and non-roster invitees. We'll take a look at our roster breakdown brought to you by Toyota. 28 pitchers, 6 catchers, 12 infielders, and 12 outfielders. And as Ryan Sandberg told us the other day, competition. Here's Maikel Franco. Off the hands, aggressive, swinging at the first pitch, and the side is retired. 1, 2, 3 go the Phillies. We haven't said that often today. Just the 3rd time they've gone down in order. Chuck may be calling it a day. We still have a half inning to go. Well, Comcast Sportsnet is the exclusive home of Phillies baseball for the 2015 season. This is the 18th year of Phillies baseball on Comcast Sportsnet. We're going to do 18 spring training games, which includes the 2 exhibition games back in Philadelphia, 161 regular season broadcasts, all in HD on the Comcast networks or NBC 10. Phillies pre- and post-game live before or after every game. Phillies lead at 5-1 as we go to the top of the 9th inning, along with Matt Stairs, Ben Davis, and Greg Murphy. I'm Tom McCarthy. We are more than pleased to be back broadcasting baseball games. Ecstatic that Ben has decided to join us this year. Mike Schmidt will be a part of our broadcast team as well in the 2015 season. Mario Hollins, stirrups, sanitaries, the whole 9 yards, will take over on the mound for the Phillies.
There's stirrups, which Jamie Moyer and I wore.
Right.
And then there's those. I don't know what those are.
Well,
I guess technically, yes, they're stirrups.
Yeah, see, that's what we wore. Didn't we wear those when we were in Little League? And
Steve Bedrosian style, right?
Yeah, that's
there.
it. Steve Bedrosian style.
Bedrock.
But that's old school right there. You know, he's got the gap between the stirrup and the sannies. Up and in. 2 balls and no strikes. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, baseball players. Isn't the high part supposed to be in the back of the stirrups?
Yes, but he's got the Liberty Bell on the side.
Right.
I don't know if they have, if you were to switch them around, they would be on the inside, correct?
On the inside corner, it's 2-1.
See the Liberty Bell?
I see it. They still look sharp, though.
They do.
And there you go. The
soccer sock.
Was that what they are? The soccer socks?
I'm not a fan of that one.
That one is drilled down the right field line. It'll stay in the yard off the base of the wall. And Mason Williams speeds into seconds with a stand-up double. Ball was up just a little bit, and he was able to take care of it. And that'll bring Cole Figueroa to the plate.
Elevated fastball. Missed his target by quite a bit. You see Coy Hill set up a low and away. Fastball got inside a little bit, and he turned on it very nicely.
It's a good path to the ball right there. I mean, it was definitely to it and through the baseball.
Mario last year was such a pleasant surprise. He had an excellent first half of the season. Overall 2-2 with a 4.40 ERA. His ERA was over 3 at the end of the first half, but it was partly because of his last couple of outings. It was under 3, in fact in the low 2s for a good part of the first half. Chopper back toward the middle. Blanco is there. There's one away with a runner over at third. Bob McClure, he really thought that Mario Hollins had great success last year.
I would have to say Mario. Not really surprised because he wouldn't have made the club if it was a big surprise, but I think he surprised myself, coming out of Double-A, and also that he went through that first 3 quarters of the season really well and was able to pretty much he dominated a lot of those games, and for a kid to come out of Double-A and do that, that was pretty.
Well, it was pretty darn good. And there's Bob McClure. Asked Bob the other day, because there's so many pitchers in camp, and the Phillies have brought in a couple of their left-handers, that they thought about moving them back to the starting rotation. And his answer made great sense. He said, well, no, we don't think that Mario's stuff would be as consistent if he was a starting pitcher. As a reliever, he's probably 94, 95. As a starter, he'd be, say, 89, 90? He
said 88 to 91.
88 to 91, yeah.
I agree with that.
Inside to Cito Culver.
Pitch before that was a changeup, and we didn't see a whole lot of that last year because he was lefty on lefty guy, bring him in, fastball slider. If he could throw that one, that changeup, that's you can equalize a right-hander as well with that.
Like a lot of guys, and we've talked about this, they're trying to get him just to throw more strikes early in the count, which, as Bob even said in his comment, he really did the first couple months of the year. He was dominant.
Yeah, he was. Well, and I found that early in the season last year, even if he wasn't thrown for a strike, they were close enough to where he hides the ball so well. He has a little different delivery that people were taking some really weird swings.
2 outs on the strikeout.
Good fastball.
Yeah.
Coy Hill won the fastball inside, threw it to his glove, tied him up. He couldn't get the big part of the barrel to the ball.
Well, he's got one more out to get. He's got Jake Cave. Grounded out to first, or grounded back to the pitcher his first time up. Inside, 1-0. Swept outside, so 2 balls and 1 strike. Phillies will be back in action again tomorrow, and then they'll take on the Yankees. At some point this week, get a chance to see Cliff Lee, Cole Hamels.
Aaron Harang tomorrow.
3 balls, 1 strike. Chopper back toward the middle. Here comes Blanco. Can he get there? It's backhanded instead. Not in time. A run scores, and it's a 5-2 ball game. Well, as it turns out, Cord Phelps got to it quicker. I don't know if Blanco would have been able to cut across and throw him out. Here is Slade Heathcott.
I think you'd still rather have your shortstop come and take that ball because he has the momentum going towards first base as opposed to Code being.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, it would have been close, that's for sure.
Well, here's Heathcott. Heathcott doubled his last time up. 5-2, Phillies lead. First pitch is over for a strike. So they'll score that an infield hit, give an RBI to the batter.
You understand where Cord's coming from, though. He wants to be aggressive, make a play. No problem with that.
Fouls it. Boy, that's awfully close right there. Opposite way, under the glove of Franco and into left field. So runners on first and second. Heathcott now 2 for 2, and that'll bring the right fielder Aaron Judge to the plate. Well, if this was a regular season game, we'd probably be seeing Papelbon, but we'd be saying, be careful with this guy. Because the tying run is at the plate. We would be saying that, wouldn't we?
Oh, for sure. Plus, we'd probably talk about more about the 3 left-handers. Hitters have got the hits off in this inning.
Aaron Judge really does have a striking resemblance to Giancarlo Stanton. I mean, it's
very true.
Physically, but even his stance it's pretty darn close.
Where the hands are, where the bat is.
It's
a good
amazing.
Point.
I'm anxious to see how he bounces back this year after getting hit in the face last year, not coming back at the end of the season.
How about the first day he took a live batting practice? He got hit by a pitch.
Did he?
First pitcher, yeah. Yeah, Stanton's going to be wearing a different helmet this year with a guard to try to protect to that side of his face where he was hit in that game against the Brewers last year. Two balls and no strikes. Bob McClure out for a quick visit with Mario Hollins. Phillies lead at 5-2. The Yankees have banged out 11 hits here this afternoon. Phillies have scored a run on an error. They've also scored a run on a balk. Another change up. It's low, 3-0. That one ran right back over the inside part of the plate. The runners will be off on this next pitch. Mario Hollins hopes it's the final pitch of the afternoon. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, fills up by 3. "26th pitch of the inning coming from Mario. There go the runners. In the air to left field. Towering shot. Altair going back toward the wall. Does he have room? He jumps and it is gone, and we're tied up at 5. Oh my. 17 home runs last year in the minor leagues. And he just tied this game up at 5 here in the 9th inning. It's a 4-run 9th inning for the Yankees. Well, Ben, you said it. Get one up in the air.
That's all that was. That was off the end of the bat, and he got up in the jet stream.
He didn't miss that by much in left field.
No, he didn't.
Great effort.
Breaking ball in there for a strike. You know, at one point it looked like Jones was peeking over to the dugout when his count was 3-0 as to whether he was going to get the green light or not. 0-2. Well, both teams have extra pitchers out in the bullpen. Check swing. Luis Garcia, there was a question mark next to his name, not because they weren't sure if he could pitch, but he was only going to be used if needed, and he may be needed today. Thanks to Judge and his 3-run bomb. It well out toward right center field. Herrera is not going to get it. It is a one-hop off the base of the wall. And Greg Bird will pull into second with a stand-up double. I would think they're going to have to go out and get Mario Hollins here.
A lot of pitches. Rhino looking.
And here he comes. So that's going to be it. Garcia is going to come in. Now, Mario Hollins having himself a rough 9th inning here for the Phils. He's allowed 4 runs, and he is responsible for the runner over at second base. So a pitching change for the Phils here in the top of the 9th inning. A game that the Phils had in hand. They now are tied at 5, thanks to that big guy right there. Lead going into the top of the 9th inning, but the Yankees have tied it up at 5. So with 2 outs now in the top of the 9th, they've got to dip back into their bullpen. And Luis Garcia, who pitched in 13 games a season ago for the Phillies, will step out of the bullpen. He was an all-star down at AAA last year. He couldn't really duplicate the success in AAA in the big leagues for a lot of his time. He was better later than he was earlier, but 6.43 ERA with the Phillies in the big leagues a season ago. His numbers were staggeringly good in the minor leagues for the Iron Pigs. I mentioned that he was a member of the All-Star team. a 0.96 earned run average in the minor leagues. So a runner at second base for the Yankees, and Rob Refsnyder, who is 0 for 1 with a walk, will be the batter. Swing and a miss at a breaking ball. It's 0-1.
That swing there was reliever coming in. I'm getting a fastball and I'm swinging. That's where you have a veteran catcher like Coy Hill putting the right fingers down.
With a breaking pitch, that one's high, so 1 ball, 1 strike.
See, that's the pitch right there that I think Garcia fell in love with last year, was the slider. He's got a 95, 96, sometimes 97 mile fastball. I'd like to see him establish the fastball earlier and then start using the breaking ball.
Well, his fastball last year would hit 95. Actually hit 96 at times. That one was at 93 miles an hour. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. He gets him with a breaking ball on the side. Is finally retired. However, the Yankees tie it up with 4 runs in the inning. A 3-run bomb by Aaron Judge. And this tied this game up. He had 17 home runs during his first professional season last year out of Fresno State. And a spring training home run evens it up at 5. Back here at Bright House Field, we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Who would have thought we'd have a bottom of the 9th inning about an inning or so ago? But the Yankees scored 4 in the top of the 9th. And now the Phillies will get a chance to face Chasen Shreve. There's Jesse Biddle. He is back in camp for a 2nd straight year. He had a pretty tough 2014 season. Injuries really plagued him. And all reports, the Phillies' former top pick looks more relaxed and certainly looks stronger out on the mounds. Obviously, Ben, you grew up in the Philadelphia area, went to Malvern Prep. Jesse grew up in the Philadelphia area, but has been drafted by the Phils, played in Reading last year. It's probably great because his family gets to see him, but there's also a lot of other things that, you know, he has to sort of juggle as a local player playing for the hometown team.
Well, there's that, and also the pressures that come with being a 1st-round selection, thinking you have to live up to that pick. But you know, I kind of would like it. I personally would like it.
Yeah.
You have to separate your job, which it is your job. You have to separate your job with your family, and you know, hopefully he'll be able to do that.
Yeah, and hopefully he'll stay healthy. That was the big thing last year. He just he couldn't stay healthy for a number of reasons. The hailstorm in the Reading area that he was caught in. Chasen Shreve out of the Atlanta Braves organization last year. Pitches inside and low. 2 balls and no strikes to Cord Phelps.
Hailstorm.
Yeah, he had a concussion from getting hit with hail.
Concussed.
His car was damaged. He was in the car. It was damaged. Yeah, it was Oh, fairly true. Google it, Matt. 2 balls and no strikes. And there's a strike at the knees. It's 2-1.
He definitely has the stuff.
And
definitely has. I mean, that's a no-brainer. You can see that right away.
He's a great kid. Comes from a great family, great background. Dan Plesac, who was in camp for a week with the Phils as a special instructor, he loved what he saw from Jesse.
Well, to have a lefty that's a starting pitcher, that's a strikeout pitcher, they're few and far between these days.
What did Joe Jordan tell us the other day? Probably Double-A is where he'll start.
I think
but
he'll start,
he has the right to change his mind with a good spring. 2-2 pitch coming to Cord Phelps, and it's low 3-2. Phelps last year in Triple-A, 7 homers, 51 runs batted in. Boy Hill is on deck.
Nice.
Out toward right field, and the Phils have something going here to begin the bottom of the 9th inning.
Great at bat. Starts with a 2-0 count. Makes the pitcher throw a strike. Works to full count. Shoots one to right field. And that's not trying to do too much with the ball. Just get on any way you can.
Well, now it'll be Darren Mastriani instead of Coy Hill. So they may have him up there to try to bunt Cord Phelps up into scoring position. Low and in, 1 ball, no strikes. Herrera is on deck.
You never know, you might see a hit and run right now. 1 ball, no strikes.
Shreve was taking a look to see if he could gauge whether the batter was going to square around. He throws over to first. Maybe he thought about what you were talking about, Matt. Outside, 2-0. Get a thought of what you want to do here, Matt? 2-0. You want to keep the sacrifice on?
2-0. First game of spring training. Let him hit. Hit a gapper, celebrate at home.
There you go. 2-1. Now you put it back on?
Yes.
So Phelps will go back to first.
A lot of vowels.
Yeah. It's a foul, and it's 2-2.
Just have to keep that bat head up. As soon as you drop it, only bad things can happen. I always say keep the barrel of the bat above the ball. That forces the ball down into the ground.
Swing and a miss. So they can't move the runner up into scoring position. A strikeout, and with 1 out here in the bottom of the 9th inning, Herrera will bat.
Center fielder
Odubel Herrera reached on an error his first time up, scored a run. Andres Blanco is on deck. Took a bad hop at the last moment. off-speed pitch, 0-2. Shreve was acquired with David Carpenter from the Atlanta Braves. We saw him a season ago with the Atlanta Braves. 15 games in Atlanta. He had a 0.73 earned run average. He has a chance to make this Yankees team. You know, the Yankees have Andrew Miller, David Huff. We saw Lindgren today. But Shreve has major league experience. Dirt, and 1 ball and 2 strikes. Murphy keeps it right around the dish.
Very nice play by Murphy there. Last thing you want to do is allow the guy to get in scoring position. Keeps that ball in front and smothers it.
Show him where the beach is at.
Ooh, hit by a pitch. That'll put runners on first and second. That ball just ran right inside on Herrera. Hit him in the arm. He's got a little bit of a protective sleeve on that arm. I don't know if the sleeve was high enough. But now the winning run is in scoring position for Andres Blanco. Scott Sheridan, Phillies athletic trainer, coming up to the stairs. Take a look.
Right in the elbow.
Right in the elbow. Take a listen. Bees. Is he feeling it a little bit? Pins and needles. Juan Samuel over in the first base coach's box for yet another year.
That many moving parts as a hitter, it's going to be hard to get out of the way. I mean, the arms are flailing. He's got the giant leg kick. The pitch running up and in on you. It's going to be tough.
He starts so open and then closes it up. Outside, 1-0. Andres Blanco is really the only pure backup shortstop the Phillies have right now, behind Freddie Galvis. Cesar Hernandez can play it, but not like Blanco. One thing the Phillies coaches have talked about is just how good he's been with the Latin players, making sure that they are on the same page with the coaches. It was the same identical pitch with a little more velocity that time, but it was called a strike. It's 1-1. I think Blanco was just reminded that he's got to stay in the box.
Yeah, you don't want that $499 fine first game in spring training.
Any reason why you think they didn't round it up to 500? He walked out of the box again. Vic Carapazza said something to him, but then again, the box is pretty much erased at this point in the game. 2 balls, 1 strike to Blanco.
I don't remember you stepping out a whole lot, man. I really don't.
Well, I never stepped out to look at the signs because I could never remember the signs, first of all.
I always thought the more I stepped out of the box, the more I started thinking.
Yeah, then we're done.
He's going to throw me a changeup. He's going to throw me a fastball.
It's like, oh my gosh, that's hysterical that actually, I mean, I'm sure that does happen.
Oh, it does.
Foul back to the screen. It remains 2-2.
Or the fact that the pitcher will look in and get the sign and he'll shake like 2 or 3 times. Then you're messed up.
Yeah, then you're thinking, I thought he only had 2 pitches.
Okay, now he wants fastball away. No, he's shaking for a location. No, he wants to change up now. Then you step out.
Staying alive. A little chopper foul toward the Phillies on deck circle. Phillies do not have anybody else warming up in the bullpen, so if we go extra innings, looks like it'll be Garcia, or they decide we only play 9, which they can decide in spring training. Usually they'll play at least one more inning. That may be in play. Bird onto the warning track. He's there. 2 outs. And here comes Aaron Altair.
Good time to end it. Good time to end it.
Aaron Judge tied it with a 3-run home run in the top of the 9th inning, part of a 4-run inning for the Yankees. And now the Phillies have the winning run in scoring position with 2 outs. It'll be Altair and then Darren Ruff. Those are the scheduled hitters for the Phils. If we get past Aaron here. Swing and a miss, threw something soft to him. 81. Is mixing up his pitches pretty good. The location of those mixed up pitches.
Much fastball changeup. Looks like he does have a good, very good changeup with some depth. You said, Tom, 15 games last year with a .73 ERA. That's pretty darn good.
The Braves are kind of revamping things this past off season. And a call, strike 3 on the inside corner, and Altair is down looking. So the Phils wind up leaving 2 here in the bottom of the 9th inning. We'll wait and see what the umpires decide or the coaches decide. I believe that's going to be it. I think this game is going to wind up ending in a 5-5 tie. So that is the signal that we have been given. And the signal is Tom Hallion, the crew chief, has walked off the field. So the official time will be 3 hours and 9 minutes, and the Phillies and the Yankees will settle for a 5-5 tie in the 2015 spring training opener. Big number 99. He looks like a football player, but he's an outfielder for the Yankees. Aaron Judge tied it with in the 9th inning with a 3-run bomb. So that's the final score. We'll be back to wrap it up after this.
A man pioneers a way.